Let's go live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. These are the brand newly christened Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. The sound, you will notice, a lot better. Oh, we're gonna have good sound again. Hey, what's going on with the chat? Why is there nobody? There you go. Okay, sorry, I had a problem in the chat. The new studio here, which is at the E Gallery in the beautiful Design District, is a work in progress. It is the what are we going to call it? The Radio Misfits Dallas HQ, home to many a show coming soon. Some of you know. The problem is we're going to have to do something with the back wall. I've got this really cool sign that Peter had made. Peter, look, Peter, you guys are so awesome, you chat folks. Really cool sign. We just need to mount it. We need to mount it and figure out how we can get it in frame, because this is a single shot, a single static camera shot. So everything needs to be kind of put in front of me. But welcome to the Rant. I do this every day. I'm Pugs Moran. It's 3 years now. 3 years. Well over 3 years we've been doing this show every day around about noon o'clock. Typically goes about 2 hours. But let's be honest, guys, I've been giving you extra. I've been going like 3 hours plus every day this week. So don't give me a hard time about being a little bit late. We were ready to go at noon, but the initial, we weren't ready to go at noon. Why do I say that? We were ready to go at noon. No, we absolutely were not ready. We could have been ready to go at noon, but yours truly, I'd like to say it's because I'm a perfectionist, but it's not. It's because I'm a procrastinator. That's why we weren't ready to go at noon. What is this show? Well, it's me, a middle-aged, narcissistic man with no particular political affiliation or worldview, just sitting here with you folks in the chat room every day, talking about America, talking about our life, our place in it. I give you the news, the headlines, the trends, whatever it is people are talking about. This is a little community group for who I'm like to call. Yeah, I just said whom I'm like to call. That's not even a word. No one in the history of time spoke like that. Even when they said, whom I'd like to hearken thou. No, they didn't say it that way. I'd like to call you the normal people. We're the normal people. Where do I get to this normal diagnosis? It's because if the kind of talk radio that you're interested in is the kind of talk radio that is going to validate or demonize your way of thinking or someone else's who disagrees with you, you're not normal. Stop it. I say this country has been fractured into three parts, and we, the normal people, are still the big majority of it. We cannot lose sight of that, and we cannot allow a stupid and loud minority. We got 15% of people on the left in this country. The left used to be reasonable. You used to be able to deal with them. People used to go out to drinks, and they'd go to cocktail parties, and they'd, scream on the floor of the House of Representatives, but then they'd be friendly. Not anymore. Why? Because we got 15% on the left who are nuts. We got another 15%. We got these people over here on the right, the ones that still think JFK Jr. is alive. Those people, they're gone. 15 on the right are gone. We can't deal with them. 15 on the left are gone. We can't deal with them. That leaves us the 70, the super 70. We're 70% normal, man. We are all the people who are still invited to our Thanksgiving dinners. We're all people who have never been arrested at a Target because we just couldn't process a display they put on. What is that? What is that? We are people who have never been escorted off an airplane and gone viral because of it. That's the 70% of American people who this talk radio show is for. Any other talk radio show that you'll find on the radio in this country is not going to be for you, the 70%. It is going to be specifically for the 15% on the right or the meatball class, which I'm a proud card-carrying member of the meatball class. The meatball class are, of course, guys who want sports. I like sports. I love sports. Sports radio and political right-wing talk is all you'll get. So I present this, the Rant. It's a stream of consciousness every day. It's just me and you. Our wonderful chat room. Let's say hi to the chat room. Rainy Days is here. Peter is here. Jen is here. Kim is here. Sports bras are here. It's a good thing the sports bras are here. They should have been. They were here early. They were helping to set up all of that stuff. Why? Because the sports bras are today's executive producer. That's right. you want to be executive producer of the show, all you got to do is just tip. Just be the big tipper of the previous day. We are in a pledge week. A pledge week is the last week. First, actually, because I don't pay my bills on time, it's the first week of the month where we have this much money to pay the bills, and we put that number up, and then you people start tipping, and we appreciate it. And the big tipper of the day gets to be the executive producer. So today, that's the Sports Bras podcast, coming soon to Radio Misfits Dallas. They're one of the shows that we're going to be supercharging. Not that they don't do an awesome job already. We just, I got ideas coming. Kind of weird too, you know. Well, never mind. What else? Who else? Oh, we should talk about Pledge Week. Where are we at? Let's go. Let's see what the scroll is. I got a little scrolling update here. We did really well yesterday. You people were awesome, man. Thank you so much to the people who got it. You know, on Monday, the week started out, and I'm like, okay, so really this Pledge Week, we need to raise $50 a show. And I thought that was going to be really hard. And then, yes, first day we made $50 a show, and I was like, yeah, all right, we can do this. And then yesterday after the show, we didn't make $50 a show, and I'm like, but that's okay. That's it. We'll make up for it. These people, Friday, they'll get us across the finish line. They always do. And then some came in last night, and I'm like, whoa. So, guys, we're ahead of the game. I think all we got to do is, I think we're down to 90 between 3 shows. That's like $30 a show is all we're going to do it. Thank you, folks. Thank you for getting us across the finish line. I know I shouldn't count the chickens, but, you know, whatever. I have faith. How do you like the new studio? Any thoughts? Shall we talk about my favorite piece of social art ever created in Dallas? I absolutely love these. Do you see my socially provocative lawn jockeys that I've got now on set? These are, let me tell you the story about these. You might notice these, a lot of questions. What are you feeling? What are you feeling? What's your first impression? Hey, I'm watching you as Mr. Normal 70%. Mr. Normal 70%. You're like, right now you're realizing, you're like, hey, I'm sitting here at my work desk, maybe, I don't know, watching a YouTube show that's got an American flag and a couple of lawn jockeys. What the hell is happening here? It's confusing, isn't it? It is. Pretty confusing. Who is this guy? I mean, he's obviously, you know, he's obviously pro-American, so he's obviously one of us and not one of them. But then he's got a lawn jockey with an I Can't Breathe shirt on. What the hell? I love it. I love the socially provocative nature of the. Let me tell you a story about these. You think they're funny? They're part of a set that was originally created. I don't know, whenever I Can't Breathe happened. Remember that was a George Floyd thing. It was a social moment. They were created back then, and they became really hot. Like one NBA player sees it, and he's like, I got to have that. And then all of a sudden, you know, they all sold out. These were the ones that we kept here at the E-Gallery that we're holding on to because, you know, any piece of social art, they go up. So for the time being, we got these here. Although, you know, someone like a Dak Prescott, some young, socially conscious, rich African-American wants to buy a piece of provocative art that is a piece of our near social history. Well, you can hit me up. You know, this show will figure out a way to take a little 5% nibble. No, I love these things, man, because the lawn jockey as a superhero painted in his like little Flash outfit as more than just the simple, you know, Negro boy you have guarding your lawn, which is sort of the institutional message of lawn jockeys. They're not really a big thing now. So people may not even know what they're looking at. People might be like, what? Especially if you're under, I mean, when did they go away? They vanished. They vanished around 1980, I think is when they suddenly became symbols of American race. Well, you know, I think they certainly are a symbol of our progress, that they are no longer on every yard. Man, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. Every house had one of these. Not every house. Our house didn't, and not every house. But a lot of houses were. They were like a way to decorate, right? And I'm not one of these people, because I grew up around these people, and I knew that some of them were good. The Gilberts, for example. The Gilberts were some of the most wonderful people. They had a lawn jockey in like 1978. They had a little black guy on their front lawn, a little black jockey midget something, you know. But they were, you know, they were also a family that always had, they were a sports family. So they always had like kids crashing there. And it didn't matter what color the kid was. You know, if one of the kids met a friend who lived in the city at a wrestling camp, because they were like undefeated. They were great wrestling. I mean, they were just good people, but they had a lawn jockey. So when we talk about, you know, everybody who owned one, that's the height of racism. It's a really interesting question to me because it's not the height of the racist individual. It is an acknowledgement that these things were popular and that I don't think it was a matter of race. I just think it was a popular thing. I think it may have started, you know, hey, let's make that thing a little colored boy. You know, maybe that's how it started. I don't think that as it became a popular thing in houses across America that all those people were racist. I think they were just like, yeah, it looks kind of cool. Because here's the other thing. They do look kind of cool. They do. That's why they lend themselves, I think, to such interesting art, such provocative social statements. So what is the social statement of taking a lawn jockey and painting him in a superhero? Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask the artist. And I can't wait to interview the artist on these. We're going to do a whole series of like interviews with local artists. But here's what I think. Like, take the I Can't Breathe shirt on this one. This was inspired by that moment where a bunch of NBA players during warm-up, so LeBron James, and I don't really remember the history exactly, but I do remember the socio impact of that moment, where the I Can't Breathe shirt began to represent, you know, a group of people who felt like they've had enough of institutional policies that have, you know, subjugated them. I'm not even going to say the R word, because when we start getting into institutional talk, we're now talking about policy. We're not talking, an individual is racist. And I suppose there should be, or could be, you know, racism behind policy, but the institutional policies that made it okay for the lawn jockeys. It's complicated, right? I mean, that's what it is. So to take that institutional symbol of the subjugated minority class in America and suddenly erase their little colorful, I'm a help a massa with his horses outfit, and adorning him in a social state. It's just interesting to me. I'm sorry. And resonated with other people too. And then you got this guy over here. You know, this guy has been turned into a superhero who is rising up against the oppressive state. Also, the pedestals are all adorned very coolly. Anyway, that is the story behind our new art. It's supposed to just make you think. Who is this guy? Am I like Mr. America leaning right guns? Yeah, I am. Am I also somebody who recognizes that although I don't believe that racism is the number one problem in this country, and I think that is why the Democrats lost, I think that on the whole, in my lifetime, I could look at this slow slugging of civil rights progress as being that really progressive. I mean, I said the other day, I mean, I don't think I've been interviewed for a job in 20 years where I wasn't interviewed by a black woman. That's progress. It's got to be, right? And I'm the guy who tells you the story about when I was a kid at the pizza restaurant where the black kid would come in and he would apply for a job and they'd be nice to him. And he'd walk out and they would throw that job application right in the trash. I saw it with my own eyes multiple times. It was policy. Everybody laughed. Ha, ha, ha. Didn't make George a racist, although George was a racist. So maybe that's a bad example. George was a Greek immigrant. Immigrant people, man. You know, we like to call racism America's original sin, like it's something that we homebrewed. Let me tell you something. The immigrant class are some of the most racist people you are ever going to meet. It takes generations of deprogramming here in America to get that out of them. But oh my God, the Irish immigrant class, racist. I don't know why I'm doing the applause. German immigrant. We know who they didn't like. They didn't exactly. All of them. Italians are racist. They get over here. You know who's really racist? And you got to grow up in one, or at least have time in one of these communities. African immigrants themselves are incredibly bigoted. Yeah. It probably has to do more with, the culture of the country they come from. But, they bring that stuff here. So is it the number one? No, it's not the number one problem. But I'll tell you something else that isn't the number one problem. Illegal immigration on our southern border also isn't the number one problem. The number one problem facing America, in my opinion, and I'm not going to dwell on this, but you know what it is. It's our station in the world, okay? It's our place in the world. Our place in the world is supposed to be the number one superpower. You know how I know it's supposed to be? Because we've got a nation of fucking morons. Because for 40 years, we didn't educate anybody. We didn't keep anybody healthy. What we did was we made that deal where we said, you know what? We're just going to put it all into defense, and we're going to be the baddest motherfucker on the block. And I may not have voted for it that way or think about things as that being a positive way, but that's the path we chose. And now we are the biggest motherfucker on the block, okay? So my number one concern is, why is everybody acting up? Why isn't anybody respecting us anymore? That's what I think the number one problem facing America is. Our place in the world. As the beacon of hope for everyone else. The bullshit. What America really is and the myth of America are two different things, and I'm all for both of them. I am all for both of them. The only reason I do this every day is because of that goddamn American dream, because I believe it. And so do people from elsewhere. And they come here. I'm telling you, immigrants are racist. We gotta fix them. There's not another reason. I don't hate immigrants. I come from an immigrant family. We're all immigrants. I believe in the melting pot. I believe that when we take some backward ass hill dude from Italy over here who he doesn't like anybody, when you get him over here, you think that a couple generations, maybe his kids will be normal. Okay, we all deal with racist grandparents from another country. We all know that. It's the American experience that changes them, and that is civil rights progress. And so is a young black man spending $25,000 for one of these. That is also racial progress. Let's see here. I'm sure we've got some comments about that little opening small talk rant. Didn't mean to get so hot and heavy on you, but we're just a bunch of girls sipping wine, talking about the world. What's Jeff saying? Something racist, I'm sure. Something borderline to Iowa racist. Yeah, they can't help it. I'm not saying it's right. All right, let's see what Jeff has to say. Jeff says, talk about hate. Just ask African immigrants about Black Americans. That's true. That is really true, man. But I really do think that when we're talking about African, I had a conversation with the Senegal, some chick from Senegal back in Chicago. I think that this has really been my experience, maybe not yours, but yes, African immigrants seem to have a very negative take on African Americans. And I think it comes from African immigrants coming from a colonial sort of mindset where they didn't come from a place that even had any sort of remnant of the civil rights movement. They were always known to be the black class, and then there was the imperial colonial class. So that's just sort of the way they think. And in talking to this girl, she kind of expressed to me that it's a disappointment. The attitude of the African immigrant class who comes here, who picks themselves up. This is how they look at themselves. Not speaking for them. I'm reciting a conversation I had with one successful woman who's a director, works in TV. And she said that the class that gets here, see, here's what also something I've always believed about the immigrant class from everywhere else. It's their best. I mean, I don't know about Mexico, but, I'll tell you this. The guy who grows up in like some cartel town in Mexico, who has the gumption to go, you know what? I'm fucking just going to go over there with 50 cents in my pocket and wash dishes for. That is actually the person we want in this country. We want the person who's in the hopeless, miserable situation, who has the hustle to go, I'm going to stow away on that boat, right? And that's how the African immigrant class, I think, in talking to this one individual who was very smart and well-educated, she's Northwestern grad, she feels that it's a disappointment that the immigrant class had to do all kinds of jumping through hoops to get over here. And then they look at what they see as the naturalized American African class as being a discipline, not, you know, and you can say there's all kinds of social things that lead into that, you know, a welfare state. And, you know, I don't know. But I did think that was interesting because what she said that resonated with me was colonial culture. She says, you got to understand that modern African people who are thriving in Africa under the remnants of colonial culture do not have this horrified vision of it, right? Not everybody in colonial culture was subjugated. Some people, you know, found themselves, and I think that the immigrant class, especially the educated African immigrant class that we see here now, this girl told me flat out. She says, look, we don't think the system is broken, and we think that if we just do our job and we work hard and we can make it. So maybe that's why. Maybe that speaks to a larger perception that African immigrants are really racist against American immigrants. Let's see. Jen says, well, they strike a nerve, but make you think. That's what Jen says about that. Yeah, that's exactly the point of provocative social art. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that somebody with a lot of money, you would think somebody with a lot of money would, you know, be thoughtful about such things. I think it's interesting that they're willing to pay what they're willing to pay for these things, and that it's become kind of a, but no, we're going to hold on to these. We're going to hold on to these until the price goes way up. Hold on to them until somebody else gets, nope, not going to say that. That's an absolutely horrible thing, and there's no place in humor for that sort of. But yeah, they're supposed to make you think. They're supposed to make you go, wait, am I triggered? How do I feel about this? What side are these statues on? Boom. And that's that. All right, let's get started with the show. We do the show in 4 quarters. It breaks down. I try and give you absolutely everything that you need to know about today from the perspective of somebody who is firmly in the middle of this American experiment. We do it in 4 quarters, as I say. The first we call Antecedently on This Day. What is that? Antecedently on This Day is just another way to say today in history. Quarter 2 is birthdays. You know what that is. Deads is quarter 3. These are people who died on this day. We take a look at their lives and decide where they go, heaven or hell. After that, we step into quarter 4. Quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events. You know, there's some crazy shit happening in America today. So we're going to get into all of that. There is an example of what I always like to preach. You know, I preach against the programming. I try to counterthink the programming. We were all programmed to think certain things. The simplest example is Nickelback is the worst band of all time. No, they're not. No, they're not. You just say that because you've heard people say it and you think that's what people say. That's programming. If you really thought about it, you'd be like, actually, you know what? I kind of like Nickelback and they're not terrible. They're a pop rock band, okay? Why are we fucking shitting on Nickelback? Why is that programming? Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Stupid people are saying that now. That's something we deal with this time of year. Stupid people who are just looking for a way to be interesting. But the problem with that observation, the observation being Die Hard's a Christmas movie, is that it's not unique, nor is it interesting, because it's a tell. It's a tell, right? Like Byron plays poker. Byron's a poker guy. He knows what a tell is. You say something like that, you're telling me all I need to know, because 1, you're so out of the loop on what's relevant that you think that's interesting. 2, you think that's interesting. 3, you're fucking wrong. All right. You're just wrong by every fucking metric. Just because a movie occurs in the time of the movie around Christmas, it's in December, Christmas Eve, whatever. It's not about Santa. It's not about love. It's not about joy. It's a fucking stupid hostage movie that, by the way, was released in the summer Christmas movies have to be released around Christmas time. That's what you people are just lowering the bar on what we accept. Anyway, there is something happening today that is total programming buster. So we're going to talk about that. All right, but first, let's get started with today's show. As we said, today's show is executive produced by yesterday's Big Tipper, the Sports Bras podcast, coming soon to Radio Misfits Dallas. All right, if you would like to be tomorrow's Big Tipper, we are in the middle of Pledge Week. I'll keep the scroll down there. Please keep monitoring it. Make sure we get across that finish line by end of show on Friday. I think we're down to $90 is all we need. Come on, if we can't do that, y'all. Anyway, let's get started. All right. It is the Rant with me, Pugs Moran, from the brand new Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the E-Gallery. It is the 4th day of December, year of our Lord, 2024. Did you know 339 pages have been torn from the 2024 calendar? Woo! 27 days remain until the end of the year. So get those New Year's, literally, like now you'd be like, what are you doing for New Year's? I say that a lot. I say it like in April as kind of, tongue-in-cheeky. Get those New Year. There's 200 days until get those New Year's Eve plans start, right? Well, today it's legit. Get those New Year's Eve plans started. I think that could be helpful to you. There you go. All right, let's get started. Quarter one, we call it Antecedently. On this day, it's a look back at all the events that have helped shape history as we know it from this day. Antecedently, on this day in the year 1861, this occurred during the American Civil War. The 109 electors of several states of the Confederate States of America unanimously elect Jefferson Davis as president and Alexander H. Stephens as vice president. Who? Barely like. The only reason we remember Jeff Davis is because in every city there was a rock DJ named Jeff Davis. Who are these people? Traitors is what I say. Hey, if you fired a bullet at a dude wearing a uniform with an American flag on it, I call you a traitor, at least a terrorist, something like that. I don't know. Antecedently on this day in 1864, also during the American Civil War, Sherman's March to the Sea. Union cavalry forces defeat Confederate cavalry in the Battle of Waynesboro, Georgia, opening the way for General William Tecumseh Sherman to approach the coast. Antecedently on this day in 1909, the Montreal Canadiens are inaugurated. They're the oldest team. They're the oldest surviving professional hockey franchise in the world. And they were founded as a charter member of the National Hockey Association on this day in 1909. I got a problem with something. I'm not a big hockey guy. Okay, not a big. I love my Blackhawks. They're my team from my hometown. I like the Stars. I root for the Stars. I played hockey. I lived in a place where lakes froze now, and so you were just like on your lake skating. Got a lot of lakes where I'm from. A lot of lakes, they all froze. So I played hockey, not organized, but every Saturday with a bunch of hackers out on the lake, right? So I get the basics. But here's what I don't get about the history of hockey. I come from Chicago. One of the big things about the Chicago Blackhawks is they like to pat themselves on the back as being a member of the original six. The original six, the original. But here's the thing. Doesn't that seem a little shoehorned? Like the original six? First of all, they weren't the original six. 1909, the Montreal Canadiens are the oldest surviving professional hockey franchise in the world. They're founded on this day, charter member, National Hockey Association. Blackhawks didn't even come around until like the 1920s. There was a National Hockey League for almost 2 decades before the Chicago Blackhawks showed up. And here we are 100 years later, and they're walking around original six. I'm like, oh, shut up. No, you're not. You're trying to pull that shit in a town where the Bears operate? The Bears are legitimately a charter franchise. Blackhawks are not. What is that nonsense moving of the goalposts? All of a sudden, it's important to be, if the Chicago Blackhawks were the 7th team admitted, they'd be going around going, original 7. Oh, shut up. So tired of the mythology of bullshit. Anyway, moving on. On this day, antecedently in the year 1956, the $1 Million Quartet. Yeah, this is cool music history stuff right here. $1 Million. Am I too high? A little bit. The $1 Million Quartet get together at Sun Studios in Memphis for the first and last time. Who are the $1 Million Quartet? There are other, I mean, this, let's be honest, this is just happenstance. It was 1956, you know? Some guy who had promised named Elvis Presley was hanging out with another guy who some people knew called Jerry Lee Lewis, who was hanging out with a session guy named Carl Perkins, who was hanging out with some dude who just showed up off the street named Johnny Cash. All right, so that's what's now known as the $1 Million Quartet. I'm promising you that at the time that this thing was going on, none of these guys were like, well, the $1 Million Quartet. Otherwise, this wouldn't have been the last time that they all got together, okay? There's money to be made. And Sam Phillips, had he known, would have totally cashed in on his $1 Million Quartet. Could say the same damn thing about the founding of the National Lampoon. And the National Lampoon is $1 Million comedy quartet. Ivan Reitman, Bill Murray, John Belushi, Chevy, right? John Landis, Lorne Michaels, whatever. $1 Million Quartet. I mean, after the fact, sometimes incredible groups of interesting and talented people come together by happenstance early in their careers because they're all gravitating towards the same brass ring. That's all it is. It wasn't a $1 Million Quartet. On this day in 1956. On this day in 1969, Black Panther Party members Fred Hampton and Mark Clark are shot and killed during a raid by 14 Chicago police officers. How is this being worded? Shot and killed. Don't like that. They were assassinated. Anybody who knows the story of Fred Hampton and anybody who's familiar with that period of time in Chicago, specifically on the South Side, Fred Hampton was assassinated. Fred Hampton was murdered by cops. He was a troublemaker. He was not doing anything illegal, but they made some shit up, and he was a rabble rouser, and he was a black guy, and white people didn't like him, and the city of Chicago was run by a pretty racist Irish white guy named Daley, and boy, I'll tell you, the police, it's been a number of movies. You don't need me to tell you about the story of Fred Hampton because it's all pretty much been documented now. I mean, even the fucking cops on their deathbed, they're like, yeah, well, we were ordered to go after him. It's America. America is complicated. Fred Hampton is not the monster you were told that he was in 1975. He was an incredibly smart person who was a good leader of his people. He just... I don't know. I'm not going to get into a conversation about the merits of the Black Panther Party because I honestly believe that they did an incredible job of keeping riots from erupting all over this country. And they're blamed for a whole bunch of other things. But man, oh man, people like Fred Hampton, people like, well, I don't really want to say, I don't want to talk about Huey because that's more complicated than Fred Hampton. But anyway. Adam Raina's got a comment on the original six. He says, original six apparently is the term they use for the first 25 years after New York, Chicago, and Detroit joined. Sure. Yeah, they just decided to make it important because New York and Chicago and Detroit, which were the three biggest cities in America at the time, you know, there was no such thing as a Los Angeles yet, or certainly a Phoenix or Dallas. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I understand. It just seems to me another bit of myth building where we're all supposed to think there's something important. Again, if the Blackhawks were the fifth team, it would be the original five. And it should be maybe the first five. That's it, first five. That's what it should be. Original six doesn't even sound good, except for the fact that people have been saying it for 40, 50, 60, 70 years, and it sounds good because of programming. You just say it over and over. That sounds right. Original six. Boy, that rolls. No. First five. That's what it should have been. Everything's a scam. Everything's designed to get us emotionally ginned up. That's why controlling your emotions is something that's very important. And I suggest that each and every one of you go out and get yourself a daily stream where you allow yourself to just rant about stuff because it's incredibly freeing. And very good for your ultimate control, which is when we go out in the real world and have to deal with people. See, I'm not gonna pop off at someone in traffic because I've been popping off at Adam for 2 hours or Byron. You know what I mean? So it's pretty good. You people provide a service. I'm not kidding. All right, let's go. Let's see. What else do we have? Antecedently on this day in 1971, during a concert by Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention at Montreux, some idiot audience member fires a flare gun and the whole place burns down. This is, of course, the inspiration for Deep Purple's Smoke on the Water. You know, this is, look, I guess if you don't know much about rock and roll history, you'd be like, oh, cool. For those of us who like love the rock and roll fun fact, that's so entry level. Yeah, we know. One of the guys in Deep Purple was there watching Frank, and you know that's where he came up with Smoke on the Water. All right, there you go. Antecedently on this day in 1991, Pan American World Airways ceases its operation. Pan Am goes out of business on this day in 1991. That's crazy because Pan Am used to be like huge. It'd be like if Coca-Cola went out of business. It's like, really? That seems like the airline. Like it seemed like if I was 5 years old, like I thought United or American or Delta. I would have been like, name an airline. I've been like Pan Am. It was everywhere. TWA also. Pan Am and TWA. All right, let's do some birthdays. Q2 now. It's time for us to take a look at people who are celebrating birthdays born this day. I don't know for certain they were born on this day. I haven't talked to them others, but this is according to published reports. Born on this day in 1937. How about Max Baer? Max Baer Jr. Max Baer was, I believe, heavyweight champion of the world. German, I think he was a German-American fighter. He might have actually been a German fighter. No, that's Max Schmeling. Max Baer was, I believe, an American-German fighter. Max Baer Jr., Jethro Bodine from the Beverly Hillbillies. Goddamn right, we're going to wish him a happy birthday. He's the best. Jethro. I love Jethro. I got a friend, man. I got a friend who just reminds me. I have a friend who I've known for years and years. I love him deeply. We drift apart, then we drift back together. He's just such a genuinely good human being, right? He's Jethro. He's Jethro, man. He's a Southern gentleman. He's smarter. He is way smarter than like Jethro was. That's the thing about Jethro. Jethro was just super optimistic. And he just always, when he had a big heart and he wanted everything to work. Jethro wasn't stupid. Jethro always had ideas. Jethro was always hustling. Jethro was always, and that's who Max Baer Jr. in real life was. Max Baer Jr. would go on to be a successful businessman. Probably, well, I guess a mark of a good successful businessman is a number of bankruptcies, right? Isn't that what we're going by now? So he was in and out of the news with a number of crazy, businesses. But Max Baer Jr. was a cool guy. Jethro, always willing to do a radio interview. Interviewed him a couple of times. If you wanted him to be Jethro, he could be Jethro. If you wanted him to be the businessman talking about trying to build a casino outside Las Vegas that was Beverly Hillbillies themed, he could be that guy. Max Baer, happy birthday. He's dead now, I think. No, he's not. He's alive. Good for him. Happy birthday, Jethro. You were awesome. Born on this day in 1944, Dennis Wilson, drummer for the Beach Boys, only Beach Boy who was an actual Beach Boy, the only Beach Boy who could surf. That's more entry-level rock and roll trivia. You shouldn't be impressed by that. That's kind of if you know anything about the Beach Boys, you know that Dennis was the only one who could surf. Dennis also was the one responsible for the whole Charles Manson thing. Dennis was a party boy. Dennis was also the hottest Beach Boy. Like the Beach Boys were all, right? Look at the Beach Boys. They're all kind of, you know what I mean? They ain't like, Mike Love might be like the handsome lead singer, but he's like balding, He's got like Meryl Steubing from the Love Boat head, so what is that? No, Dennis drummer was the heartthrob, the actual surfer boy. And they didn't really need him for much because he wasn't a particularly good drummer. When Brian became a studio freak, they didn't need Dennis for much. So Dennis became a bit of a party boy, addict, all kinds of girls, started hanging out with the Manson family. You know why he started hanging out with the Manson family? Because a bunch of hot, crazy, hippie Manson family chicks kind of recruited him. They're like, come on back to this crazy house in the canyons and you can have sex with all of us. So Dennis Wilson started hanging out. And Charlie at this point is like, hey, man, I want to be a singer-songwriter. So Charlie started playing his music. Dennis Wilson's all fucked up. Dennis Wilson's like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to my producer, man, I think you're really good, Charlie. I think you could be a star. So his producer was a guy named Terry Melcher. So Dennis Wilson goes to Terry Melcher and he gives him the music, and Terry Melcher listens to it and he says to Dennis Wilson, "Are you fucking nuts? This guy sucks. This is insanely bad. What are you doing to me here, Dennis?" So Dennis goes back to Charles Manson. He's like, "Hey, Terry didn't like it, man. I'm sorry." So Charles Manson decides to murder Terry Melcher, and that's how Sharon Tate got killed. Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski were renting Terry Melcher's house. That's how the whole Manson family shit got started. Because fucking Dennis Wilson, had to deliver the bad news that Terry Melcher thought his music sucked. Dennis Wilson, born on this day in 1944. He would die early. He died a young man. He died while diving off his boat. He got fucked up. He was living on a houseboat in like Marina Del Rey. And he got fucked up, and every morning he would take a dive, and apparently this morning he dove into shallow water and he died. There you go, Dennis Wilson. All right, 1944. Born on this day in 1949. Here's definitely top three. I don't know. I have to really talk about it, but of all I've had since 1992 doing talk radio in Chicago and Dallas, I've talked to a lot of celebrities. A lot of people have come through. I've got a list of like the three freaking nicest. Like I can tell you that Ron Howard. There's no bullshit there. That guy is exactly what you want him to be. If you think Ron Howard is Superman, you don't have to worry about seeing him as Clark Kent, because he is fucking awesome. Super nice. Also, sorry, Byron, Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is everything. I got to spend a good half hour with Tom Hanks, just me and him in a room at the Chicago Film Festival, where he won a shit ton of shit for Apollo 13. Was it Apollo 13? Yeah, it was that one. And I was the last interviewer. All of these like press people got him one-on-one with him, and they were all limited to 15 minutes or so, or 10 minutes with Tom. I was the last one, and I pushed it, and the time was up, and there was no one behind me, so I kept talking, and I kind of started to act nervous, and Tom Hanks goes, "Kid, you're the last one." He goes, "Let's do this. What do you want to talk about?" And I just thought, oh my God. Because even at this point, he was already Forrest Gump. He was already Tom Hanks. He's a big movie star. And I'm a kid on a morning show trying to get taped for the morning. He was wonderful. He was so kind. The other one is this guy, our birthday boy today, Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges is everything you want that dude to be. Everything you want him to be. Jeff Bridges was promoting, it was Kelly and I, we were over at 105.3. He was promoting a movie called, I think, The Auteurs, maybe The Amateurs. I don't know. It was a movie that you wouldn't expect him to do because it was a low-budget independent film, and he was by far the big star. Like, you get what? Jeff Bridges, really? He's doing this? And he was doing all the promotion himself. I don't know if he had something to do with it or whatever, but it was really interesting that a guy, a movie star, right? When you do talk radio in America, you get movie stars when you go to them and you interview them on location, like I just told you about Tom Hanks. He ain't coming in a radio studio at 6 a.m. You go to them. Movie stars don't come to studios. So Jeff Bridges, they're like, "Hey, there's a new Jeff Bridges movie out." And we're like, yeah, we'll talk to him. And they're like, "In the studio." And we're like, "What? Holy shit." Because I'm a big Jeff Bridges fan. I love him. His personality, all the way back to Texasville. He's just such an easygoing, cool guy, and I don't even think the dude is his best role. And to that end, let's do a Jeff Bridges draft of my favorite Jeff Bridges roles. And I'm going to leave out a whole bunch of them because that is just how prolific this guy is. He goes back to 1969. He's competing not only in the specter of his father, Lloyd Bridges, who was a big movie star. Yeah, Jeff is a Nepo baby. But I got no problem with a Nepo baby who gets their foot in the door because of daddy, but then stays there because they're fucking awesome. And Jeff Bridges is awesome. And then he's got like a nitwit older brother, I think. I think Bo is older by a year or two. I mean, I like Bo, don't get me wrong. But Jeff Bridges is better than both of them. So let's do a Jeff Bridges draft. Here we go. The rules of the NFL draft. These are all films of Jeff Bridges. We look at his whole filmography like they're coming out of college. And we've got the top 5 picks in the draft. So here we go. Ready? Now, This might be why my team sucks, because so many of you think that the obvious number one pick is going to be the dude. It ain't the number one pick in my Jeff Bridges draft. The first movie that made me fall in love with him. The first, I was a little kid. This movie was on like ABC Saturday night movie. The first one, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. You ever seen Thunderbolt and Lightfoot? Jeff Bridges, Clint Eastwood. Jeff Bridges plays Lightfoot. Clint Eastwood plays Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt's a bank robber. Lightfoot's a young punk played by Jeff Bridges. They go traipsing. Thelma and Louise with nuts. Thelma and Louise with testicle cancer. That's what it is. It's excellent. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, number one. Number two. That's another one. You're like, really? Jeff Bridges draft? You start out with Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Okay, it can only get better, right? No, I'm sure it's going to get worse for you, because number two is The Contender. I love The Contender. The Contender is easily a top 3 political film of all time, but it's also a top 15. I don't know if it would make my top 10, might make my top 15. I love The Contender. The Contender is the story of Jeff Bridges is the president of the United States. He's so cool as a president too. And Joan Allen, who I just got to be honest with you, I saw this movie more for Joan Allen. I love Joan Allen as an actress. You guys know how I love the cold, sexy bitch. Nobody plays the cold, sexy bitch who you can get to. And once you get to, it's like, oh, she's wonderful. I love Joan Allen as the cold, sexy bitch. Anyway, I think that she was like The Contender. She was being named to some big political post, but I don't know. She had a lesbian girlfriend in college. It was something crazy. It was a scandalized thing, and Jeff Bridges played the president who was appointing her. The Contender is number 2 in my Jeff Bridges draft. Number 3, because I'm Gen X and I was a kid when this came out, and it changed my life. And if you didn't allow it to change your life, I don't even want to know you. Tron. Number 3. Tron. I thought, seriously, when Tron came out, I'm like 11, 12, something like that. When Tron came out, I really figured by now we'd all be living in Tron world. This is not Tron world. Tron has been replaced, like the theory of like, what is really happening? It's all Tron. I'm Tron, not Matrix. How's that? You Matrix dorks with your pills. Watch Tron. I'm a Tron guy. That's what's really happening. Tron. Number 4 in my Jeff Bridges draft. One of my all-time favorite movies, and I honestly think it's one of the most underrated Francis Ford Coppola films of all time. It was nominated for Oscars and stuff like that. But it's such an interesting, real, true story of American history and how people with good ideas get completely killed by the man, Tucker. You guys ever seen Tucker? Jeff Bridges as Tucker. Tucker was a real man. Tucker was a real guy who built a car in the 1950s that was like super ahead of its time and super cheap. It had airbags. It had power windows. We're talking about 1950. And this guy was building the safest car on the road, and it was going to be cheaper, and everyone in America was going to be. And guess what? Tucker got run out of business because the United States government, along with General Motors, didn't want the competition from Tucker, and they drove this man out of business. It's a great movie. It's a great movie. If you've never seen Jeff Bridges as Tucker, see it. Oh, my God. All right, and the 5th pick, the 5th and final pick. We only do a 5-round draft here. The 5th and final pick is going to be him doing a heel turn because you love Jeff Bridges, right? Yeah, the dude, the good guy, whatever. I didn't mention the dude. I didn't mention the Baker Boys. I didn't mention all Texas. I didn't mention the last picture. I didn't mention a whole bunch of stuff. But I am going to mention The Vanishing. You guys ever seen The Vanishing? Where Jeff Bridges plays a freaking Swedish weird-ass serial killer guy. He is scary. If you want proof that Jeff Bridges is an actor, see The Vanishing. All right, there you go. That's my Jeff Bridges. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, The Contender, Tron, Tucker, and The Vanishing are the top 5 in the draft. As far as inviting people to camp, he's Jeff fucking Bridges. Just anybody that wants to come. Seriously, all the rest of he's never made a bad movie. He has never made a bad movie. He has maybe made movies. Well, I was looking through the filmography and I'm like, I just can't choose. He has maybe made movies you've never heard of, and he has maybe made movies that weren't your particular cup of tea. But Jeff Bridges has never made a bad movie, and I will die on that hill. Born on this day in 1949. Hope he's well. He had a health thing, right? He had a little thing, but I think he's well. Born on this day in 1964. Oh my God. Be still my Gen X heart. The beautiful, the delightful Marissa Tomei. Was Marissa Tomei in The Sopranos? I feel like she was. I feel like they moved her. Where's Tomei? What'd she do? I don't know. Whatever. Monkey Heart, right? She was in that movie Monkey Heart. Marissa Tomei. She was in My Cousin Vinny, right? Did she win an Oscar but not win an Oscar? Is that her thing? Is she still cute? That's the question that we ask here. All right, we need to see. Let's take a look at Marissa Tomei, because be still my heart, as I say, she was about as adorable as they come. Let's see. What's she looking like now? Oh, she's in something now, right? Like we've seen her recently. Okay. All right. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm not even going to apologize for this. I'm a Gen X man. And if you're telling me that we've got an opportunity to just look at some Marissa Tomei pictures from back in the day, I'm doing it. You ain't going to stop me, okay? All right, here we go. Look at her. Oh, my God. Look at her. What is she like? Honestly, you could tell me she's 40 here, and I'd be like, yeah, that's probably what she's looking like at 40. Right. Okay. So this is just her standing against the wall. She's probably mid-40s here. Okay. Beautiful woman, Marissa Tomei. Look at her. She's fun. Oh, this girl right here. This girl here, she's fun. She wants to go dancing. You've carried her. You have carried her before. She's been like, it's such a good time tonight. That's your experience with her. God, that's great. Look at her being naughty. Look at my little butt. Look at my little Marissa Tomei butt. All right, this has got to be from a while, right? This is like young. Marissa Tomei, Round Theater Company, Belvedere Vodka. I'm trying to read clues as to when this, I don't know. Cute. There she is, Marissa Tomei. You know what? That's what she's working with now. We should all be so lucky. Should all be so lucky. Beautiful women. All right, there you go, Marissa Tomei. We wish her a happy birthday because, like I say, if you're Gen X like me, you're all in. Born on this day in 1966. How about Fred Armisen? Fred Armisen. You guys want to hear a funny story about Fred Armisen? I knew I knew who Fred Armisen was as something completely different than what he was, than what he became famous for. Like, I'll give you an example. When Fred Armisen was cast on Saturday Night Live, hold on, let me see if I can get this right. I want to make sure. When Fred Armisen was cast on Saturday Night Live, I remember a friend of mine calling me and going, hey, did you see the guy from so-and-so is on Saturday Night Live? And I'm like, what, the singer? And he's like, no, I think it's the drummer. It's Fred Armisen was in a very popular band in the early 90s in Chicago, like the late 80s and 90s, a drummer. They were popular. I can't remember their name. He was also the original drummer in Blue Man Group in Chicago, which started in Chicago. Like before everybody else knew what Blue Man Group was, it was this weird little experimental theater thing that was going on in Chicago. I think New York. Actually, I think it started in New York, and then they immediately moved it to Chicago. But whatever. But yeah, the Trench Mouth. That's it. Trench Mouth. Let me play you some Trench Mouth because they did a cover. This is Fred Armisen's band from the 90s, Chicago band. Let me see. I wonder if we can get away with playing. Fred Armisen, of course, genius, absolute genius. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you can hear me typing, right? The business of the day goes on. Okay, sorry. I just had to cancel. James Parker, 93.3 FM, 2 to 5. Is that when he's on? James Parker is just sending me a text. So I wanted to make sure. He thought he was coming over here to the beautiful Kelly Moore Studios in the E-Gallery today, but I've got a Christmas party I got to go to. Going to Mike Reiner's Christmas party. Got to shake hands with real important people. Look at me. No, it's going to be fun. So nice of them to invite me. I just, I feel like they're so nice over there. They're doing what we're doing. They've got their own. What we're doing here with Radio Misfits Dallas and compiling our people and all of that. They're also doing a thing over there with his My Dark Companion and doing a little bit more of a local. I don't whatever. I don't know. But I love the collaborative spirit of everybody in this town right now. Nobody hates each other. I mean, I'm looking at what those guys at the Hang Zone are doing, and I'm like, man, go, proof of concept. I'm looking at what Mike is doing. Go. I'm looking at what Ben and Skin are doing. I'm looking at what DLLS is doing. They're heavily fortified with money. So DLLS, the new sports streaming thing here in town, they're doing great things. But we're all sort of being collaborative, which is cool. And I hope it stays that way. So I look forward to seeing all those incredibly talented and inspiring people over there at the party tonight. Don't know how long I'll go because I'm not a party guy these days. But I am a handshake and let's exchange a joke and a Christmas wish kind of guy, so I can do that. All right, what are we doing? We're doing Trench Mouth, right? I'm looking for Trench Mouth because I want to give you an example of the band Fred Armisen was in. There he is. Hold on, look here. I'll show you the picture. It doesn't even look like Fred Armisen. So, nope. This guy right here is Fred Armisen. Boop, my finger is covering him. There he is. You can kind of see him, right? Young Fred Armisen. All right. Let's hear what they sounded like. They did a cover. They did a cover of a Bread song. All right, here's what it says about Trenchmouth, Fred Armisen's band. A completely uncategorizable quartet from Chicago that combines the talents of Damon Locke, vocals and percussion, Fred Armisen, drums, Chris DeZuter, guitar, and Wayne Montana, bass. Trenchmouth released 4 LPs during their existence that bounced from genre to genre with the predictability of, okay, we don't really need that. So we don't really need a full. Let's give a listen to what they must sound like. Here we go. This is called, this one's called Hitmen Will Suffocate the City. Okay, so this is what Fred Armisen was known to me before suddenly he turned up on Saturday Night Live and became one of the greats in the history of Saturday Night Live. Talk about multi-talented, I guess. All right, there you have it. That is Hitmen Will Suffocate the City by Trenchmouth, circa 1989, 1990. Anyway, I always thought that's cool that, I didn't even know Fred Armisen was a comedy guy. I just thought he was a really cool drummer and a really interesting personality in this band that everybody's talking about. Fred Armisen, born on this day, year of our Lord, 1966. Born on this day in 1969. How about Jay-Z? There's a big one. Jay-Z. Born on this day in 1973, Tyra Banks. God. Y'all remember 1998 Tyra Banks? Whew. Born on this day in 1984. I don't get this guy. Look, hey, you know what? Look. I've made a couple of posts about this dude. Just me being stupid and being frustrated and not feeling relevant myself. And I've been I've been like, I don't get this guy. But here's what I do get. Here's what I get. I'm not gonna have to put up with them for very long. And I'm not a hater when it comes to people getting their bag. And this person is just experiencing a moment in time where he gonna get his bag. Okay. We're not gonna know his name in 5 years. Okay. We're gonna be like, what? That guy? Oh yeah. Remember him? Like, it'll be like that, right? He seems fine. I don't know why he triggers me. I don't know why his success and sudden fame triggers me so. I don't know why. It's a problem. I mean, look, I'm not losing sleep over it. And like I said, I've become comfortable with the idea that in a couple of years, we're all going to be like, hey, remember Jelly Roll? Remember when we all were like, Jelly Roll, he's better than Jay-Z? We're both sharing birthdays on the same day. And look at that. I don't know. I just don't get him. Well, what is he, a singer? I can't get past the job stoppers, folks. I'm being honest with you. I don't care about this generation. You're just an old man. Just because a guy's got a snake on his face doesn't mean you shouldn't hire him to manage your funds. Yeah, it does. It means that, you made a really stupid decision where for the rest of your life, you're going to be introducing yourself as the guy with the stupid tattoo on his face. Okay? That's a bad decision. And I don't want you handling anything important. Okay? There's trash that needs to be taken out. So go ahead, snake on the face guy. That's what I see when I see a young man with a tattoo on his face. Okay? Sorry. You're wrong and you're making judgments. 1, I know I'm wrong for making judgments. 2, the reality is we all make the judgments. We can try and work through them, and I can take a little culpability on my part and be like, well, maybe I should be more open. But still, I'm not going to tell the guy with the fucking tattoo on his face that he hold my wallet here. Sorry. Jelly Roll, I find Jelly Roll disturbing. He's too... What are we doing? Okay, I come from an era where everybody that we let be famous was somebody we all wanted to fuck. That was kind of the rule. There were a couple of people who we allowed to become famous who were like, okay, somebody's got to hold the coats. But now it's like Jelly Roll. What are we doing? This guy looks like a monster. He like scares children. How about his story? Fuck his story. You ought to hear my story. My story is pretty fucking good too. Where's my NBC tree lighting special? What? Ooh. Sports Bra says he's still got the swimsuit cover of Tyra Banks. Respect, my friend. I totally understand why. It's gonna come in handy, right? What are you saving that for? Might come in handy. What do you mean? Well, I don't know, some protracted military engagement where the internet is down and, a man finds himself alone and looking for something to do to kill the time between the bombs dropping. I might need that. Sports Illustrated with Tyra Banks. Hardcover. I didn't know they made it in a hardcover. Well, that's kind of a homemade project. Trust me, it wasn't a hardcover when I got it. All right, there you go. Let's do some deaths. These are people who died on this day. Let's decide where they go. They go to heaven. They go to hell. What are we doing with them? The deads. Let's see here. Pardon me. I got the lighting. We're going to have to do something with the lighting. We got a nice lighting rig now. So we're going to be able to do the lighting in here a little bit better so I don't look jaundiced. Adam Reyna says, I picked up people from his show at Starplex like 2 to 3 years ago, and it was packed. I was like, who's Jelly Roll now? Yeah, I don't know. Good for him. No hate. He's getting his bag. Let him get his bag. Nice story. If he is truly a nice person, but mythology, it's all like, he's a nice person. I'm like, I bet he was a dick. I bet at some point in his life he was used his size, and I bet he was a dick. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Just he's a guy who made a decision to put his life's tragedy on his face. And so I don't know. I don't want to like him. I don't want to like him. Man, am I going to end up liking him? is he? I got one friend who's like, really? He's like, dude, seriously, lay off Jelly Roll. He's cool. I'm like, what? Am I gonna end up liking him? The curse of an open mind. All right, let's talk about the deaths. People who died on this day. Where'd they go? Heaven or hell? Dead on this day in 1902. Charles Dow, of course, formed the Dow Jones. Guess where he's going? Fuck that guy. Wall Street. I don't know what he did. Here's what I do know. Charles Dow, his name is synonymous with Wall Street, something that I consider to be a very big problem in this country, but not the biggest problem in this country. A big problem in this country, the way bankers seem to control everything. Charles Dow, when I hear his name, I think that. I imagine he was a very successful man in his time, having started Wall Street. So, yeah, fuck him. He's going to hell because his name should be synonymous with something else. Shouldn't just be synonymous with greed and avarice and the corruption of American capitalism. Maybe, I don't know, there should be a giant school where retarded kids go and we all go, yeah, that's the Dow School for special kids. No, we don't know anything about that. We just know Dow from the Dow Jones. So he's in hell. Dead on this day in 1967, Bert Lahr. Bert Lahr died on this day. I'm going to show you who Bert Lahr is, y'all. Y'all take a look at this dude and you tell me who he is. Because he's going to heaven. We're putting Bert Lahr in heaven. Ain't no questions about it. Look at that guy. Look at that son of a bitch. Look at him. He looks all happy. You guys recognize Bert Lahr? He did one thing. I don't know. He's not famous for anything else, right? Those of you who know Bert Lahr, he's the lion. He's the cowardly lion from The Wizard of Oz. Look at him. So, of course, Bert Lahr's going to hell. How could you not put the cowardly lion in hell? He was wonderful. Heaven. Putting him in heaven. Sorry. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Who else? Dead on this day in 1993. Isn't this interesting? Because we've already talked about this individual as being a part of history on this day. And the part of history on this day he's a part of has nothing to do with his death. Dead on this day in 1993, the great, the genius, the brilliant one, Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa. We talked about him. It was on this day that during a Zappa concert in Montreux, Switzerland, that a fan fired a revolver into the ceiling and it caught on fire. In attendance at the concert were members of Deep Purple, who would be inspired by this moment of the flaming concert venue on the lake, and they would write the song Smoke on the Water. So that happened on this day. I wonder if Frank Zappa knew that, oh my God, this is a really interesting event in my career. Oh, and by the way, 30 years to the day, I'll be dead. I'm going to die on this day. This is a big marker in my life. I don't know. I'm getting weird about it. Anyway, we're putting Frank Zappa in heaven because there's nowhere else for that dude to go. Do you know anything about Frank Zappa? I mean, he was the first, not the first genius of the music industry of the 1960s, but he was the first of the hippie rock and roll era to truly be embraced by both and this is the problem. He was an executive. Frank Zappa was an executive, so he knew the business. And then he just transitioned to this avant-garde producer, record company owner, executive, talent developer, composer, writer for other people, but mainly his own weird, way ahead of its time concept albums. Frank Zappa was cool, man. And I don't know, there's never really been a great Frank Zappa documentary, but I'll tell you what there needs to be. There needs to be a Frank Zappa movie. People need to know about this guy. This guy was a brilliant, brilliant man. I mean, like a rocket scientist, brilliant. He could build navigation systems. He's one of these guys. Invented all kinds of studio equipment and stuff that we use today and don't even think twice about it. It's because Frank Zappa wanted to make a sound and didn't know how to make it. He was brilliant. Brilliant provocateur. Brilliant artist. And as is the case for a lot of these guys, not a household name, I think. What is it? How long has he been dead? He's been dead for 31 years. Died on this day in 1993. I don't think he's a household name. Frank Zappa, he is a genius. Putting him in heaven. Dead on this day in 1993. Dead on this day in 2015. So we're gonna watch a video. First, I got to tell you about the video we're gonna watch. Robert Loggia. Robert Loggia died on this day. Robert Loggia passed from this plane of existence on this day 9 years ago, 2015. Robert Loggia was a great actor. He did a whole bunch of really cool stuff. He always played a hard ass. He always played a guy who was just one step from ripping your head off. Loggia was cool. The coolest thing that Loggia ever did came late in life. He was Feach LaManna. He was Feach in The Sopranos. Now, I got to tell you about the character of Feach, because Feach is, look, folks, I can go on and on and on about The Sopranos. I'd love to do a Sopranos podcast, but, I'd be like 2,500th in line for that, because they've already flooded the market. Feach LaManna, played by Robert Loggia, who died on this day in 2015, was a character that was introduced in season, I don't even want to guess, actually, because every season had such an incredibly cool season-long guest star, right, of some kind, playing a new character who was introduced to the Sopranos family. The Sopranos were a mob family. They ruled North Jersey. Tony Soprano was the leader of the mob. Feach LaManna, played by Robert Loggia, was an old-school gangster from the old days of the North Jersey mob. He's been in prison for 40 years. Feach gave up his entire life. He got busted back in like 1960-something, and they locked him up, and he's been there his whole life. He's still been a part of the family from inside, but now he's out. Feach LaManna is an old man, played by Robert Loggia. He doesn't recognize the ways of the new mob, and he certainly doesn't recognize Tony Soprano, the kid. Hey, kid. Stop calling me kid, okay? He doesn't recognize Tony's power as the new boss. So Feach LaManna's whole character was only there to drive James Gandolfini's character of Tony Soprano absolutely nuts. And so I want to watch a little bit of the great Feach LaManna. Here he is on The Sopranos. Let's check this.
He's here.
Hey, Terrell's expiration date, 2007.
Hold it. Have a seat.
Uh-oh. Sounds serious.
You have anything to do with that wedding takedown in Ringwood?
Why? Is that a problem?
I told you that doctor was a friend of mine. I deliberately used that word. Are you aware of how many things a fucking MD can do for us?
Sorry, Godfather. He was at the game. I thought he was just another pigeon.
Who authorized you to do it? And don't call me Godfather with that fucking cute smirk.
I know it was wait for a long time. When did that happen? You gotta ask permission to ply your trade? Here's your end. Be happy.
When were you going to tell me about it if I hadn't called you here?
I'm here now. I'm telling you about it now.
That's the second time I'm playing catch-up with you.
What the fuck are you talking
The
about?
lawn cutting.
What, do I have to send you a memo every time I move my bowels, too?
You're so concerned about my end. Why don't you put one of those cars through my shops?
What? Johnny Sack told me about this guy in Newburgh.
Johnny Sack.
Yeah, Johnny Sack. Anyway, he gave me a better deal for shipping him home.
Are you fucking serious?
I don't like the way I'm being talked to here.
What did I tell you when you came to me? Said you wanted back in. I said, as long as you don't step on anybody's toes.
In my day.
And that's another thing. I don't want to hear no more about how it was in your day. You just keep your antidotes to local color, like Dynaflows or McGuire sisters or shit like that. Otherwise, shut the fuck up!
Feach. Feach going straight to hell. Fuck you, Robert Loggia. I don't care what you did before that. You will forever be that unbelievably irritating son of a bitch, the manipulative, lying, backstabbing, disloyal Feach LaManna. You are going to hell. God, Loggia was great. All right, that's going to do it. That is the first 3 quarters of today's show. We're going to get into all the things that are happening today, and boy, oh boy, do I got stuff I want to dive into. First, once again, let's thank our executive producers of today's show, the boys over there at the Sports Bras Podcast. Please check out the Sports Bras Podcast. YouTube, Facebook, follow. Seriously, everybody in the chat room right now, go follow. And look, man, I know how this is. You know what I do for a living? I sit here and have people send me podcasts and go, can we, right? I'm recruiting. I'm looking for people. I listen to 1 million podcasts. I can tell you how difficult it is to listen to a podcast, even when it's your friend. But you know what ain't difficult? You ain't got to listen to the whole damn thing. Go over to YouTube, search the Sports Bras, and just hit play. Okay, hit play. Let it play a couple times every day. If you want to support the people who support this show, do that kind of thing. Make it a daily ritual. You don't have to spend the whole hour with them or 40 minutes or however long. Just hit play. Just give them the hit. Give them the like. Maybe leave a comment. This is great. We got to help each other. We got to help each other, man, because seriously, it's going to be a situation like as soon as things start turning a profit, we're all going to get crushed by the big boys, right? So we need an army, man. We all need to be united. And we all need those of us who consume this locally created content. We need to be a fucking army. And we need to make sure that we are liking shit from other people. And we don't each other. Those of us who are in this army. Liking shit, sharing shit, commenting on shit. Spend 10 minutes a day supporting your people in the ways that actually mean something. And believe it or not, in this stupid world, it's all about clicks, likes, forward, shares. So, anyway, thank you to our executive producers, the boys at the Sports Bros. There you go. He's putting the link right up there. If you want to be the executive producer on tomorrow's show, all you got to do is drop the biggest tip. The show runs on tips. No commercials, no nothing. Just your tips. We're in the middle of a pledge week, the first week of the month, because I don't pay my bills on time. That my mom's pissed. I'm sure every time I say that, my mom is like, I taught him better than that. Yeah, she tried. You know. I'll tell you, there are a lot of aspects of my life, folks, that, you know, I sit here and I rail the last couple of days about these people who I think are living a fairy tale existence. Right? I've been showing you these videos of the wicked people doing their crazy presser for Wicker, and I'm like, they don't live in the same world. Everything is, when they open the door after this interview and they step down on the busy, cold December streets of Manhattan, I mean, it's going to suddenly turn into a cartoon, little birds flapping around and shit like that's the world that these wicked folk are. So I kind of dubbed that a fairy tale world. There are a lot of aspects of my current existence that would check boxes that I also live in a fairy tale world. So one of the things about me is I run my mouth and I talk a lot of shit, but I like to think that I am pretty self-aware about white knuckling it. We're going to be good. Anyway, thank you to everybody who supported us this month, and we're within $90 of making our goal. All we got to do is make like $30 a show between now and Friday, and we are golden, and you guys are great. Not even going to worry about it. All right, should we get into the stuff that's happening today? All right, let me get a drink here. I'm looking at, we need some backlight, right? We're going to need some lights for the statues. We're going to need to illuminate them. This is day one in the new Kelly Moore Memorial Studio, the permanent Kelly Moore Memorial Studio. So, God damn. Look, here's what I want. I just want, when people are scrolling through all the different choices on YouTube, somebody is going to see 2 lawn jockeys and an American flag and go, what the fuck is that? And like, at least maybe, stop for a second. So we got to do more. I guess we got to illuminate them. We're going to have to come up with names. It'll get very nice. By the way, we got more. We got a whole bunch of them that aren't even, trust me, you got to go, if you see a business and, this being an art project, you got to go on eBay and you got to find old, we got some that haven't been, we got some that are in their original form. As a matter of fact, there's one right here. Do it this way. So I don't have to jack with the camera. Here. Like that. That's right in front of me. That one is yet to be turned into a superhero or some sort of, maybe Black Panther. I'm thinking Black Panther. Although, honestly, you know what I want to do with that one? I want to put him in a Make America Great Again hat and Blacks for Trump shirt. I think that one, I think that's the statement on that one. What's the statement? I don't know. I don't know. That's for you people to talk about and drive the price of art up. It's all a game. It's all a game, and I'm telling you, because, you know, my people here, we ain't spending 20 grand on, you know what I mean? That ain't us. We're normal people. But hey, doing some interesting things here at the E-Gallery. Where's the sign? What sign? What sign you talking about? You talking about the cool ass Peter sign that Peter gave me? The sign is currently right there. I don't have, I got to figure out how it's coming. I mean, I'm working with limited space, right? So I got to figure out, like, where does the sign go? Can the sign go somewhere like obscuring that? I think it could. Did Ed bust in here and take away the Radio Misfits? The Radio Misfits logo on the screen was covering the face of I Can't Breathe. And I kind of liked it that it was doing it. Now I just looked and it's gone, but that's okay. Ed's platform. Ed produces and makes it look the way he wants. I don't care. So we got to start talking about some programming, okay? Programming is a big thing that I learned about. Well, you learn about it because you live, but it is a very real way of thinking about life and existing in life. And it's not about overcoming it, and it's not about stopping it. It's about recognizing it and understanding that, okay, this is, and I told you what programming was. Stupid shit like Nickelback's Bad and Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Just dumb shit people say without thinking. So I said today that there was a very, very big event that challenged our sense of programming. Yeah, because I can tell you, and I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know that my initial reaction matched what the first thing I said about it was. What we say about these things is, but what we immediately think is, I have a different thought. So the CEO of a healthcare company got assassinated on the streets of Manhattan. He's going to United Healthcare, right? So he's going, I've got the story, but I want to just kind of extemporaneously talk about my initial feelings before we delve into the facts, because isn't that what loudmouth know-it-alls do? So I'll tell you how I heard about this. I woke up this morning. I slept in this morning. I don't know. I think it was the rain. I think it was just something. I don't use an alarm clock, but I always wake up between 7:45 and 8:10 because that's when the dog wakes up. And the dog's like, let's go out. Not today. For some reason this morning, the dog was like, and so we slept until almost 9 o'clock, which is really late for putting the show together. So I take the dog and I go outside. I start walking the dog and get a call from me. Hey, did you see the news? I'm like, what news? What news? He's like, CEO of a healthcare company got shot and killed on the streets of Manhattan like a half hour ago. It's breaking right now or whatever. I'm like, whoa, no, I didn't know that, because I jump out of bed and walk the dog and then I get into everything. I'm like, no. Oh my God. First thing I said to him was, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. That seems to make sense. And then, of course, you know, we hit the Twitter sphere and we start, the programming takes over. There's no place in America for this kind of thing, and this is horrible. And both things can be true. It is horrible what happened to this 51-year-old father, business executive in America. But am I wrong when I immediately say, man, I know health insurance companies have fucked over a lot of people? My very first thought was, actually, one of the first things that I said to E when he told me that, yeah, and the guy shot him on the street at 6 something in the morning and then jumped on like a rental bike, a city bike, and jumped on a city bike and sped away. And now there's a manhunt all over New York City looking for this guy. And my first response to that was to say to E, I wonder what his daughter is dying of. This is that weird sector where what we have been programmed to believe healthcare companies in this nation represent. That's the programming. The evil CEO of the healthcare company. But we also have the instinctive violence is repugnant programming. Two kinds of programming working here. Because the reality that none of us are really comfortable talking about in the minutes after this is, yeah, we all have someone in our family who's fucking just wants to kill the insurance company because, mom's leukemia treatment is suddenly not covered. Or, what, are you kidding me? I'm losing my house because now suddenly dad works for this company. I mean, that's the reality of the world that we live in, that so many of us have to deal with. And because we're selfish people, not Americans, humans, because we're selfish, we are selfish. Whether you're comfortable accepting that or not, we're selfish. Humanity is selfish. We will do what it takes to survive this moment. That's how we're built. But now there's so many of us, we're forced to be together in a society, so we have to resist our instincts. And that's where programming comes in. I don't know this guy, but I know that if there was a movie on, if I pop on a movie and there's a role for the insurance executive at the healthcare company, I know they ain't casting Paul Rudd. I know they ain't fucking casting Tom Hanks or some lovable character. No. We have been programmed in this country to think that, especially the Wall Street banker's been demonized and all of that, but especially the man that holds the life of your daughter in his hands has been especially demonized, and we've been programmed to think of them as evil. Man, this is a complicated thing, because I do agree that in order to resist our instinctive response of good fucker, probably killed a lot of that's our instinctive response. I got to resist that, though. You got to resist that, and you got to go, why? Because unlike the early humans, we are in this civilized society. So now we've got to resist our instincts to be like, yeah, anarchy. And now we rely on the programming to be outraged that this is what it's come to clutch the pearls. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know this man. I don't know this man. When I read about this man, there may be things that make me feel empathy for him. But at this point, I am like a serial killer. I don't see the man. I see what he represents. And I understand how an individual might have been driven to the point where, fuck this. Hey, maybe that individual is terminal. Maybe that individual learned that there ain't nothing more they're willing to do for him, so he's going to die. I mean, doesn't this seem like the kind of thing that somebody in that position would do? Now, if that was true, and again, hypothetically speaking here, don't anybody run with that. But if that was true, does that change at all how you feel about this? How do we feel about this? That is a question I really want you folks in the chat room to tell me. How do you feel? Are you horrified by this? Is there a part of you that's like, I can totally see how this could happen with the way we're all ginned up? And Could totally see how this could happen because of what I understand about the insurance process and how terminally ill in this country oftentimes are just left to die. And until that, I think, happens to you individually, back to the selfish thing, until you're the one or until it's your mom, maybe you're not all that ginned up about it, you know? Like, everybody whose kid gets killed in a mall shooting is suddenly, you know, pretty wants to talk about how we handle the gun problem. It's the people whose kids weren't hit. The people who weren't, you know, I mean, we're humans. We're complicated. I don't know, man. When I heard about this, my first instinct was, oh, I wonder what this company did to this gunman to put him in a place where he's like, fuck it. Is that cynical? Is it cynical? Because I think it's some fantasy world to go, this is another example of crime. No, this is a very specific incident. The news media. Oh, you gotta love them. The news media. We know what this is about. The police are saying it was targeted. This is not a crazed gunman who's going to now open fire in Times Square, okay? There's nothing that suggests that, and everything that suggests the opposite. Everything suggests that this is someone who wanted to kill a very specific person for incredibly personal reasons. But the news media, being what they are, they're immediately like, in New York City, we've got the tree lighting, and there's going to be 500,000 people. What are the police doing to handle this? And then, of course, the cop is like, well, you know, we're going to have added security, but it's going to be fine. I mean, this guy is, you know, he's not going to show up at the Manhattan Target, you know, on Fifth Avenue and just, that's not what we're dealing with here. But what about the tree lighting? And then you go to another, what about the tree lighting? Is there any danger? Because the media just wants what's next. What'll get us to the next commercial break? Let's introduce the idea that this madman may not at all be an individual acting in a very specific instance against a very specific target. Let's pretend. What if something happens at the tree lighting? Ooh, stay tuned after this word from Carnival Cruise Lines. Fuck them. This is a weird one. This is like, it's a weird one, but I think all of us, some way, shape, or form, I think all of us are like, he was a bad guy, right? The head of an insurance company. And that's programming. That's programming is sort of button up against itself. Abject violence in our streets cannot be tolerated. Killed somebody that probably a lot of people in this country, when they imagine the generic version of this person, is like, that person's horrible. So father kills a pedophile, right? Who didn't receive the sentence the father thought. The pedophile's walking through the courtroom, boom, boom, dad kills him. Programming says, we can't have that in our courtrooms. Reality says, fucking dad deserved it. You know, that's one of those ones that I think we can comfortably talk about. By the way, you know, something funny about that. I wanted to mention this. The other story that we've been covering all week is the Biden pardon. I told y'all I've been diving back into the West Wing, and I've been watching all these episodes of West Wing. Oh my God. I mean, you want to talk about the parallels. There is an episode called Irish Writers. I believe it's season 3, episode 6. If you're familiar with the West Wing, the White House is in a scandal because the president has MS and they didn't disclose it. And the president's wife, the first lady, is also a medical doctor who has been secretly treating her husband with the MS for a year. This becomes a scandal, and the first lady is going to lose her medical license for a year, right? So this is the big thing they're dealing with. Now, there is a board that is going to decide whether or not she loses her license. And one of the people on the board is a longtime friend of the Bartlett family, and somebody that the Bartletts are counting on to vote no so that she doesn't lose her license for a year. Word gets back to the White House, the Bartlett family, the president and the first lady, that this long-term friend is going to recuse themselves from the vote, because that's the honorable thing that liberals do. gonna recuse themselves. I know that my place on this board is an advantage to the accused, but I know them. So I, as a proud liberal, willing to fall on the sword and destroy my friend's life because the right thing to do is for me to step away. All right, so that's the context. So the dilemma that President Bartlett is dealing with after hearing that their old friend is going to do this, the dilemma that President Bartlett is dealing with is, should he pick up the phone as the president of the United States, call the old friend and say, what the fuck are you doing? Abby, the first lady, has been good to you. Why are you recusing yourself? Right? So that's the dilemma. So we got this whole pardon situation with Biden, where Biden's like, I would not do this for family under any circumstances because it's the right thing to do and justice and blah, blah, blah. And then he turns around, and when the rubber hit the road, Biden's like, pardon, right? Okay, so a lot of people having a difficult time dealing with that. So now we got President Bartlett 20 years ago in the fictional West Wing universe with the dilemma of, should he get involved, use his presidential pardon to get a family member out of trouble. He approaches his wife at this party and he goes, yeah, look, I know everybody's saying that I shouldn't pick up the phone and call him because that could start a whole nother scandal. This is President Bartlett speaking. Of course, I'm doing it like a gangster. He was a little bit more eloquent. But he goes, I know this is going to be a big problem, but I'm going to tell you something. And he looks his wife, his first lady, in the face, and he goes, I'm going to do it because you're my wife, and there's not a man in this country who doesn't understand family. Oh, and I'm like, yes! That is what Biden should have done. And Aaron Sorkin laid it right out for you 20 years ago. Fuck you, he's my kid. Really? What dad's going to come at me on that? Think about it, dads. That's what he should have done. And Aaron Sorkin laid it out for you. Season 3, episode 6, Dead Irish Writers. Now, where did Aaron Sorkin dick trip? Because he had the beautiful scene right there. What was the response of the first lady? Jed, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm going to voluntarily take my censure and my suspension. Cut to motherfucking commercial. Aaron Sorkin couldn't help himself. You had this incredible moment from the president going, fuck this. This is politics. You're my wife. And they're fucking with you. And I'm gonna get you out of this. That's the reality. The bullshit that Aaron Sorkin made every liberal in America think is the way to live their life is to valiantly take your whipping and your defeat. And that was the message of the scene. Fuck him. No, that's not reality. That is this pretend world. Latest manhunt for suspect who killed United Healthcare CEO is ongoing. All right, let's see if we have anything. Let me give you the details on this, right? The gunman is at large. He fled on a bike. A silencer was used. Police believe that it was targeted. No, you don't say, officers. And then, of course, what other note do I have here? Oh, I've got this note. I've said this. Here was the note that I made early this morning. CNN introduces, for no fucking reason, that the Christmas tree lighting may be in jeopardy. Oh, shut up, CNN. Should we move on? I mean, we'll cover this. It's on the TV. It's all that's being covered. But is there anything else? Let's see what you guys... Barney says he was annoyed that he got an alert from WBAP about an active manhunt in Manhattan. Yeah, right? I don't know if that's just that the technology isn't that good to be able to geolocate that this is not news that's... Or if they're just, constantly trying to gin people up with whatever crazy thing is happening. I don't know. Let's see. What else do we have? Who else? Let's see. Adam always has an interesting take. Adam says, in my opinion, if this is truly what I think it is, then CEOs will be in fear, and that can only be a good thing. He's saying the quiet part out loud. Yeah, there is going to be a whole new industry now, though. I mean, think about you are the head of Blue Cross Blue Shield today. I mean, you got to line out your door of every Israeli Mossad agent looking for a little bit of, side hustle. It's going to be a whole thing now. Or will it? Or will that be the overreaction to an undercorrection? Is this just a one-off? Is this, no, it's a part of a thing. I don't know. Dude had a plan. He knew where the bike was going to be, used the bike to disappear. Had a silencer, they're saying, I mean, that's not just, look, if you, I think what is going to be clear is, because they're also doing this. CNN was doing this earlier this morning. This seems to be the work of a professional. This seemed like they were introducing the idea that this could be some international conspiracy that we ought to get Jason Bourne on the phone for. Something like that. Could this have been a hired gunman who is trained at the highest level? No, what it might be is a terminal American who is fed up with this fucking thing. And so he went online, or maybe just even before this, he was just an enthusiast who knew all about. It's not secret. It's not a secret. If you're a regular American guy and, you got your guns and you like your guns and you like your war movies and you like your espionage films and you were terminal, you could probably sit down at a computer and create a pretty fucking good way to kill the dude you are holding responsible. It's not secret. It doesn't need to be some, military assassin for greater global. No, this could be a dude with leukemia who ain't getting his bills paid and he is fucking sick of this shit. Because now it's going to kill him. It could also be somebody who, like I say, man, I always go for that heartstring. It could be a guy with a daughter. We've seen the Denzel Washington movie. All right, breaking news. Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is in peril. Apparently, he's not. Look, man, I told you this with the Matt Gaetz thing. There's a whole slew of these opening round names that Trump is throwing out there to distract you. It's a 3-card Monty game. He's smart. I'm sorry, but when it comes to this kind of shit, when it comes to manipulating a whole bunch of dumbass white men, the Senate, when it comes to that, he's good at this shit. He's been running roughshod over boardrooms filled with dudes who lost elections. That's all he's dealing with here. All these dudes that he's got to manipulate in the Senate are going to be in boardrooms as soon as they miss an election, Fucking just throwing out like garbage red meat, Matt Gaetz. He's not that stupid. But what happens is everybody gets distracted and the bar gets set here. You set the bar at Matt Gaetz and suddenly... you can get guys that you really want that are down here that aren't quite as obvious, red meat, chum, if you will, because that's all Matt Gaetz is. And that's all Hegseth is too. Hegseth is chum. They're going to, DeSantis. They're like, this is what's so brilliant about this. DeSantis is a problem, but DeSantis also has a problem. And the problem is that DeSantis has some power in Florida. Trump wants Florida. Trump wants the Duchy of Florida to be his and the Trump family's for years. Look, powerful American families have done these things forever. The Kennedys in Massachusetts, the Bushes here in Texas. Yeah, they just take over and they start, getting everybody elected around them. And so that's the plan. That's the plan. Unfortunately for the Trump family at the moment, the most powerful executive in the state of Florida who could make shit difficult for the Trump family's plans is Ron DeSantis, who is kind of a Trump guy, then not a Trump guy. Trump doesn't like him. DeSantis, however, has a term limit issue. So all the Trumps really need to do is wait him out. But maybe they don't want to wait out this extra long time. So the idea of Ron DeSantis becoming the Secretary of Defense, I believe, is what Trump wanted all the time. Why? Because it clears the deck in Florida for, Don Jr. to be governor. Ivanka to run for governor, for Barron to run for Congress, and I mean, seriously, this is what he's thinking. He's a smart guy. This is how you set it up. DeSantis being there is a problem. Let's get DeSantis out of Florida. Let's elevate him to a cabinet position. If it doesn't work out, if he turns out to be an asshole, I can always replace him. My God, I replace cabinet people like, and then he's just set adrift. And by that point, Trump has established now his empire in Florida. That's the plan. And it's a smart one. But how do you get to DeSantis? You offer Hegseth first. Because if you start out with DeSantis, then it becomes a huge political thing with Democrats filibustering and all this because of the political shit DeSantis has done. But if you start with Hegseth, even the Republicans are like, it's fucking nuts. No way. And then you come with DeSantis. And the Democrats are like, well, at least it's not Hegseth. And because they're Democrats and they always like, well, this would be an honorable compromise and we'll be okay with this. And that's how he gets what he wants. That's how he gets Pam Biondi as the AG, because she ain't Matt Gaetz. And they all went nuts over Matt Gaetz. He's like, all right, I'll be reasonable if you'll be reasonable. Here you go. How about this guy? When this guy is who he wanted all the time, that's how business is done. It's why he's different. Again, don't like the guy. I wouldn't buy a car from him. But stop freaking out about all this nonsense. He knows what he's doing. And Hegseth ain't the guy. I mean, you know how easy it was to find all that stuff? Trump knew that. Trump's like, yeah, give me somebody who they're going to go nuts for. It's going to distract the narrative for a good week. And when I finally bring the guy I want, who's going to be DeSantis, because we need to clear them decks in Florida. It's brilliant. It'll be DeSantis and the Democrats. It'll be their compromise. See? We're willing to compromise. I mean, Hegseth was a bridge too far. We're willing to compromise on DeSantis. If there was no Hegseth, they'd have called DeSantis a bridge too far. See how it works? It's crazy. It's politics. It's stupid. It's why y'all should just make me governor of the world. No, never mind. Don't. I don't want to do the work. I don't want to wake up. I can't. I couldn't even wake up on time today to walk my dog. I can't rule the world. I want to go to the parties, though. Is there a throne? What do I need to do? What is the bare minimum that I need to do to occupy the throne at, like, global dinners? See, I'm not even calling them state dinners because we live in a global society, and I think that the next big move by an Alexander the Great, Napoleon type, is going to be total world domination. A global empire. Looking at you, Elon Musk. That's what I think is happening. But hey, we're a good 20, 30 years away from that. All right, let's keep going. What else do we have? What other news do we have? We talked about the Hegseth DeSantis story. Oh, we got a little Supreme Court stuff going on here. This is a big story we got to talk about. We got a trans thing. You know, I know that's real triggering. You know, I'm very concerned about triggering you. As a guy doing this in front of two lawn jockeys and an American flag. No, I'm not at all trying to trigger you little bitches, you little emotional babies. This is, okay, so it's, they're arguing. This is the Tennessee. You know what? I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read it to you, and then we're going to talk about it because this is not one of those stories that I think I need to be freeballing in the beginning. We got some highlights here from the Supreme Court's hearing on a healthcare ban for transgender minors. This is specific to the Tennessee state law where, well, let's read. It says here, live updates, what to know. Here's what the case is about. The court weighed whether Tennessee's law violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Oh, for fuck's sake. God damn. I hate being stupid. All right, 14th Amendment. What is the 14th Amendment? The 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution grants citizenship to all people born or naturalized in the United States and protects their rights and liberties. 14th Amendment grants citizenship to all people born or naturalized and protects their rights and liberties. All right, whatever. All right, let's get on with it. So here's what the Supreme Court is hearing. They're deciding, they're weighing whether Tennessee's law violates the 14th Amendment, which requires people in similar circumstances to be treated the same under the law because they're citizens. Both sides in the case say they are acting to protect minors from harm. When will we see a decision? Supreme Court almost always, it's going to be a while. Who argued for the case? Arguing for the Biden administration was U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar. Chase Strangio. What? All right, so what is this? The Biden administration again? Okay, so the person arguing, Chase Strangio, the first openly transgender attorney to argue before the nation's highest court, representing the families who say that Tennessee's ban is illegal. So this is about, I don't care. Look, okay, so it's the trans issue. Let's just talk about the trans issue. I don't think, I'm going to speak in a way that is, there's no one, I don't want to make anybody feel bad. If you are a trans person in America today in 2024, you're more visible than ever before. Wasn't really a thing until recently. And now it's a thing. I don't think a whole lot of us are looking to be dicks or jerks or whatever, but it's a different thing. And I say this all the time. There's nothing wrong with people doing their own thing as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. That's how I feel about it. I will say this morning on CNN had a transgender, I think it was the person, didn't somebody just like get elected? Like we've got like our first or whatever congressman who's transgender. And this person was on the set on CNN. And I am average American, everyday guy. I got no beef with nobody. You want to move next door? I don't care. Are you cool? You know, that's my criteria. Are you cool? And by the way, I don't think you're not cool because you're a guy who's transitioning to be white. That's not a deal breaker for me. Whatever. Are you cool? Can you hang? That's my criteria. But speaking as like the average everyday guy, I'm sitting there, I'm having my coffee and I'm watching and this person came on CNN and I'll say it this way. It was obvious to me that this was not a very feminine looking woman. It wasn't. Some are. Not everybody, I guess, have access or whatever, like Caitlyn. Right? So I have to be real with you. Regardless of my better intentions, right? I told you, humans early today, we're all garbage. We're all just selfish, right? So we get in a civilized society where we're forced to be around other people and we have to work against our self-sustaining instincts. We have to be more open. We have to be more accepting. Things that are different that, naturally we're triggered. Different things could be dangerous. And survival is the most important thing. So let's just think that the different thing is dangerous to be safe. That's how we react. That's why we don't like things that are different. That's why we like routine. This person came on CNN today, and I saw this person, and my very initial reaction was like, ugh, it's just that they look so different. I saw this person on CNN who, were among friends. I was like, that looks like a man in a dress. Looks like a man in a dress. And that's a little bit different. It's, I'm a judge, fine. That's his choice. That's his life. But it's that shock that we're getting used to. It's the, what we need to do after that shock is, then go, okay, but that's just a person and they haven't said anything jerky yet. And, let's be open, right? But the shock is real. The shock of a whole lot of us going, okay, is this something that we're being asked to accept? as we move forward, because a lot of people aren't, but hopefully most of us will just be like, just don't be weird. Just be cool. But it's the shock. It's the difference. And I'm watching this morning, this person on CNN, and I'm like, it doesn't look, and I'm thinking, it is no different. It is no different than the way my grandmother reacted when we were at Ford City Mall in 1981 and a punk rocker with a mohawk and a nose ring walked by her. She was shocked, not because she had hatred for the individual. She was shocked because it was just so different than what she was used to seeing. And that's what my reaction this morning was. When I saw a transgendered person who very much looked like a middle-aged man in a wig and a dress, I was a bit shocked. Doesn't define me as being transphobic. We are in a process where we are all adjusting. There is no ill will. God. This issue about kids, though, seems mean, right? I don't know a whole bunch about it. Here is what I will always side on. The individual parent. Okay? Don't tell me. Look, there might be a whole lot of parents out there who have these children who are going through these things. Step one, do we acknowledge that this is a thing? Or do you just think that it's made up and they're doing it for attention? Because I remember when, you could apply that to everything throughout time. Slave uprisings. Nah, they like being slaves. This is just gay. He's not gay. He's just going through a fad. It's just a thing. He's making it up. I mean, I tend to believe that this up here, this brain, super complicated. We don't know dick about it. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. We haven't even tapped the surface of what the human mind is capable of. So I happen to believe, just as I believe that it'd be absurd to think that we are alone in the universe, I happen to believe that, there might be some kind of a new thing that's emerging. So I don't think it's made up. Do I think it's a mental condition? I sure do. Is it a mental illness? Well, I don't know. That whether or not something is an illness is determined by how it affects the individual. If it is affecting them adversely, but maybe they don't see it as an illness. So I don't know. But I do think it's something. I do think it's real. And I think these people have to be taken seriously. So if a parent feels that way and they see their child, I mean, I don't think you can. A parent wants to. We need to stop these parents from mutilating these. Just stop it. No, you don't. No, you don't. You know how many kids grow up in fucked up families who are being mutilated in other ways, mentally, emotionally? Stop it. Stop fucking with parents and their kids. That's my bottom line. Stop fucking with parents and their kids. Do we need a law in Tennessee that says that parents who maybe you disagree with but think their kid could really benefit from this should be allowed to seek this kind of medical help? No, we don't need that law, I don't think. I think what we need are parents and doctors. Now, do you let a 13-year-old show up at a doctor's office and go, I want puberty blockers? Fuck no. Why? Because it's a 13-year-old, and it doesn't matter what they're showing up at the doctor's office for. What's wrong with you? Now, this is where the left lost America. When the counter to that was that these children are being somehow victimized by the politicization of this whole thing, and that meanwhile these children who are afraid to go to their parents, nobody in America thinks that a 10-year-old kid should be allowed to walk into a doctor's office and say, I want to be a girl now. Nobody in America, except for a very loud part of the liberal left who somehow made that something to fight for, which is why they lost. And which is why they will continue to lose. Because, man, the rest of us in the middle who are like, yeah, whatever, man, what they want to do, if they're cool, they're cool. That's, I think, most of us are okay with it. When you start pushing that bullshit, you lose us. And we're like, we got to vote for the other guy because you're fucking crazy and that is unrealistic. Bring up the tampons in bathrooms. That was made a big story because of Tim Walz, because he signed, let's be honest about this, Tim Walz signed a bill that was well-intentioned to protect people, okay? That's what he did. Is there a whole lot of fucking bullshit, nonsense, pork that had to be negotiated in there? Yeah, he signed it anyway. Was one of those absolutely absurd nonsense pork funding for tampon machines in boys' rooms so that if there is like a 12-year-old boy who's thinking about being a girl and he wants to cosplay menstruation, the taxpayers should be paying. That's so silly. Boys don't menstruate. They don't. Sorry. And boys who are transitioning don't menstruate. No, they don't. It's absurd. Tim Walz had to defend that. And instead of saying, yeah, you have no idea how jacked up politics are. That's exactly why I'm trying to get to Washington. I had to negotiate that. The greater bill was going to die if we didn't slot out that completely absurd. That's what he should have said. It's not what he said. He had his speeches written by the people who got their ass kicked, who don't live in the real world, who exist in fairy tale world. And they're like, no, defend the boy who thinks he's menstruating and make the people pay for it. It's a bridge too far. Normal people don't like that. And then there's the swimming thing, right? Normal people know that there is a difference between a 17 or 18-year-old transitioning woman and a 17, 18-year-old college girl who's on her swim team or on her gymnastics team. It's the difference. The Leah Thomas, God bless Leah Thomas. There's no hate for Leah Thomas. She was put into a position that was terrible for her. But Leah Thomas from Penn, right? Penn or Penn State, who was on the men's team the year before, should not have been allowed to suddenly swim on the women's team the next year because he's changing who he is. Come on. Reasonable people are like, that doesn't really seem fair. Why? Because reasonable people exist in the real world where men are stronger than women. They are more physically capable than women. People who live in the fairy tale world believe that one day a woman will hold the deadlift world record. See, again, this is like some delusional view of biology that we were all expected to swallow with our little spoonful of sugar. It's not Trump, but a woman can, fight a man now. What? No reasonable people were willing to accept that. So this trans issue is one of the big social issues of our time, because I believe that all people are deserving of respect and all people are deserving of an option. And I just think that not everybody who is like a little bit weirded out by seeing the new congressman from Pennsylvania on the set of CNN, when, as I said, they really do look to the general person's eye like something that is different. Like the way my grandpa looked at a punk rocker in Ford City. Ford City was a mall. Ford City in 1980. It was so different from society. But my grandma was cool. She probably would have liked that boy. She'd probably been a nice boy. I don't like his hair. It was weird. It's different. It challenges my expectations of what I'm about to experience next. And therefore, I get a little bit freaked out by it. That's human nature. It's human nature to struggle with the trans issue. It doesn't mean we're all transphobic. All right, that's it. I'm going to move on from this. I'm not going to talk about gender reassignment surgery. Look, those are conversations for smarter people. All I can tell you is how we need to emotionally approach these things. That's my expertise is how to not lose your shit, okay? And how to process things. All right, let's keep going. What do we have here? Okay, can we talk about this? Can we talk about this stuff? The hell is going on in New Jersey? You guys following these New Jersey drone stories? Okay, so first of all, let's just show you what these New Jersey drones are. This has been like a couple of weeks going on. Hold on, is this new video? Yeah, I haven't seen this video yet. So this was last night. Over the past couple of weeks, there have been like mass drone incidents above New Jersey. I'm not even sure where. Here. Now, this is the first time I'm talking about it because I'll be honest with you. I've been seeing it for well over a week. And I'm always like, oh, more of these, because I follow a lot of wacky UFO people. Because, I'm like, okay, more of these wacky UFO people. I'm not really giving it much credibility, so I wouldn't bring it onto the show. But now mainstream media is talking about it, and the FAA is involved. And when the FAA gets involved, that means that this is something. That these are not, it's not like, yeah, don't worry about it, the story's going to go away. No, the FAA is investigating. Since like Friday of last week, the FAA is like, we do not know what these are. Are they, I'm not even going to say alien. Are they foreign? Are they domestic? Are they terror? Whatever. So this was going around last night. Let's see if we can watch this for a little bit, see what this is. I haven't seen this one yet. So apparently the New Jersey drones, even though the FAA is out and looking for them, came back again last night.
9 o'clock at night, just randomly stepped outside. And there are 3. 1, 2. Oh, where'd the third one go? Oh, okay. Yeah, it just kind of disappeared behind the tree. There it is. 3. Just chilling. So weird. Oh wait, there's another one. Just everywhere. I don't know if that's the same one. Crazy. 9 o'clock at night.
All right. So there you go. That's like the most recent. That was last night. That was the one that was going around. And okay, so we're going to talk about this. So what did that spur? Was that just another? Hold on, is the microphone too hot? Was that just more, ginning up of people, or is that one, the one that occurred last night? Has that created any further official hubbub that we should use to contextually put together that something's going on? Okay, well, guess what? Yeah, because after last night, now we got the FBI involved. And they better get on this quick because I think they're about to be dismantled. Drone sightings reported over New Jersey. Now the FBI is involved. Here's what we know so far. Mysterious drones have been reported flying over parts of New Jersey in recent weeks, leading to an investigation involving multiple police agencies and even the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Images and footage of the drones have circulated online, leading community members to wonder what's going on and what authorities are doing about it. On Tuesday afternoon, the Morris County Prosecutor's Office said there is no known threat to public safety. The same messaging officials have released over the past few weeks. Nothing to worry about here, folks. Don't you worry about a thing. Reports of drone sightings have emerged from multiple counties in New Jersey, including Morris, Somerset, Warren, and Sussex. Let's see here. In a joint statement on behalf of the prosecutor's office and multiple New Jersey police agencies, the office said it realizes members of the public have concerns about the repeated drone sightings. The office is working with local sheriff's departments, emergency management offices, police departments, the FBI, New Jersey State Police, and the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. They don't know what these things are. Oh, and the FAA. I forgot the FAA was brought in first. And the FAA is like, yeah, they ain't nothing we're doing. What's going on in New Jersey? How is somebody, and it's like swarms of them. When were the drones first reported? Let's see. Morris County prosecutors first announced sightings in November. The office said on November 18th, patrolmen from law enforcement saw the drones. At the time, the prosecutor's office said the agencies would coordinate. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, initially said that it looked into reports and didn't find any evidence of drone activity in the area. Yeah, except for thousands of people are seeing them, FAA. The Federal Aviation Administration initially said it looked into reports and did not find any evidence of drone activity in the area. Still, the FAA said. The agency shared information about the reports with other federal security partners. Something is going on here. They're like, what are these? And it ain't just some hillbilly in New Jersey flying a drone. I'm telling you, developing ... Okay. Now this brings us to the other weird ass shit that I wanted to talk about today. Where is the story? Hold on. Hold on, guys. Hold on. All right. So this was going around yesterday. It's another one of these weird, bizarro, what kind of world are we living in? Remember I said I choose that we're existing in some Tron-inspired universe. Some of you may want to go Matrix. I think Tron is a little bit better for me. Something's going on. So this was circulating yesterday. I want to show you what this is. If you follow me on Twitter or anything, you may have seen me talking about it. This is a global phenomena that has been happening for a good 20 years, as far as I can tell. It's called sky trumpets. Do you guys have any familiarity with the phenomenon known as sky trumpets? Well, I mean, it depends on who you are. The Christians, they believe that it's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And, other people believe that it's the sound of the polar ice caps cracking and whatever being disrupted. There are all kinds of crazy theories as to what the sky trumpets are. But I can tell you, as somebody who has experienced the sky trumpets over and over and over again, I can tell you that they are a very real phenomenon. This was circulating yesterday. This is an example of what sky trumpets are. It's just you're out in the middle of nowhere and you just start to hear this. Okay. All right. So that's what was going around yesterday. And I also want to point out that this is I'm not trying to go, something's happening now. No, I'm just simply pointing out that this is not a new thing. Sky trumpets. Sky trumpets have been, as I say, something I've been aware of for about 20 years. I actually went back into my YouTube and I found this. This is from about 10 years ago. Okay. This is an example of the sky trumpets where I lived. Heard them normal, on the regular, at no particular time, but all of a sudden you'd be outside or you'd be in the house and you'd hear this, and like you'd go outside and you're like, what the fuck is that noise? There's no airplanes. We lived on a wetland preserve. So we were in a very rural part. I know people are like, Chicago. I'm like, nah, there's a lot. Trust me when I tell you, you go south of I-80 and it's all rural. So let me play that for you. This was my own experience with sky trumpets about 10 years ago. Here, let me make sure we get where's my sky trumpets? Hold on. Give me a second. Oh, here we go. Oh, of course, we'll use April. Okay, so this is my experience with sky trumpets from about 10 years ago. This is real. It happened a lot. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking document this because I am tired of this shit happening. So here it is. This is my experience with sky trumpets.
The hell is that noise? Listen, it's raining, but there's a noise. Man.
It's like multiple tones. It's like, oh. And at some point you'll hear 2 of them going like a different.
It's been going on for like a minute.
Hear the ducks? It's like on a lake. Those are ducks right outside that window. That's on a lake. This is the middle of nowhere. It's a wetland preserve. There's animals. Anyway, sky trumpets are real, man. They're real and they're weird. All right, hold on. Now let me see if there's some other examples of sky trumpets. Yeah, here. You know what? Let's do this. Check this out. Let's watch this about sky trumpets. Y'all think I'm being crazy? Here you go. Check this out. Inside Edition. No less an authentic journalistic source than Inside Edition actually talked about the mystery of the sky trumpets. Here, check this out. Watch this. This is real. I'm not making this up. This is something that's going on. Nobody knows what it is. And quite frankly, I'm afraid to find out what it might be.
Guys, what is going on?
Strange sounds are being heard around the world. In Sweden, this sure sounds like a trumpet. In Michigan, another trumpet-like sound. In British Columbia, Canada, Dr. Glenn McPherson says he heard a strange humming sound in his home. At first, he thought it was an appliance.
Ultimately, I cut the power to the entire house, and the sound got louder.
Then he discovered he was not alone.
This is in fact a worldwide phenomenon, and I'm calling it the worldwide hum.
Check out his Hum Map Data project. To date, some 17,000 civilians and scientists from around the world who call themselves hummers have reached out to him, saying,
No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't call themselves hummers. This fool. I call them sky trumpets. Sky trumpets is better than worldwide hum. And by the way, can I point something out about this guy? I've been following it longer than him. This guy is only, recently now discovered this? And let's be honest, he's being driven insane. Can't you tell? He's totally his story isn't done yet. You're about to find out how far this freak show is going to go to figure out what this noise is. Me, I just acknowledge that it exists. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. Don't want to know what it is. Just going to keep going to work every day and doing this stream at noon. This guy's a crazy person.
They heard the same thing. McPherson thinks the mysterious hum could be caused by low-frequency sound waves that sound like this. He actually built this 3-foot by 6-foot steel box that blocks out low-frequency sound waves. But for some reason...
See what I mean? This guy's fucking... This guy's nuts. He's building boxes. Now watch. He's going to try and get this reporter to get into the box. Don't do it, reporter! Don't do it. That's what he wants.
Even inside it, he says he still hears the strange hum.
Going into the box made absolutely no difference whatsoever to my perception of the hum. If anything, maybe even it got louder.
Inside,
he's about to make her get in the box. Getting in the box changes nothing. I encourage you to get in the box. It gets itself in the box.
Edition producer Brianna Deutsch climbed inside the coffin-like box to test it out. She hears no hum.
Coffin-like. Like, get in the coffin-like box. All right, but my cameraman has to get in with me.
Pretty dark.
Now listen to these strange booms that sound almost from another planet. It could be a sonic boom from a fighter jet breaking the sound barrier. Another possibility...
It ain't a sonic boom. It ain't a meteor. These things happen all the time. I ain't never seen a meteor that came with it. It is obviously Godzilla. Seriously, they're playing some shit that sounds like Godzilla. Sounds like he's in the core of the earth, and what we're hearing is... I don't know what we're hearing.
A meteor. This home security camera in Bridgewater, New Jersey, actually caught the flash and then the sound of a meteor.
Huge explosion, loud enough and strong enough to knock the pictures off my walls and shatter the glass all over the place.
That may help explain some of the booms, but others remain a weird mystery.
Ladies and gentlemen, just another example. We don't stop looking for shit. Stop overturning it. We don't need to know what that is. Trust me, we don't. One, we don't want to know what it is. Two, probably no way we're going to fully understand what it is. Three, . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 . 3 They don't want us to know what it is. I think that's it. Those are the three rules of that. Let's just keep going to work. Hey, nothing wrong with acknowledging it. You know, you don't want to have your head in the sand. You know, something's coming, but don't let it ruin your day, is basically what I'm saying. Don't let these unexplained things. Don't go joining a religion. Dude, that's why religions exist. Religions exist because people just can't. They're like, I don't know. I don't get it. What do you guys think? Really? Okay, I'm going to think that too. That's the whole reason. Because people are like, they have these stupid questions. Not me. I mean, I have the stupid questions. I just don't have the need for answers that I think everybody else does. What happens when you die? I don't know. Hope I don't find out, right? That's all I need. What's next? What's it all about? What's it all about? Got a text last night at like 10:30. Stupid fucking emoji text from my 15-year-old son. Just said, I love you. I don't know. It was like an eye, and then there was like that's it. That's what it's about. I don't know. I got nothing deeper than that, man. But as far as I can tell, that the only reason that we're here is to get better. We start out absolute garbage, little kids. All we do is scream and cry. We just want our own everything. Selfishness. Mommy, give me this. If I don't get what I want, I'm going to fucking ruin everybody's night. You know, that's how we start. And we got to get better. We got to lose some of that. We got to actually attach ourselves to other people and find some victory in their successes. We need to. So what is it all about? It's about getting a text at 10:30 from your 15-year-old who just, you know, apropos of nothing, you know, just thought I would appreciate it. And I did. And that's what. So I don't know. Don't ask questions. We don't care what the sky trumpets are. Probably Godzilla. I've seen the movies. All right, let's keep going. What else do we have here? Today's rant. Getting a little bit schmaltzy on the rant today, don't you think? A little bit. All right, here we go. Here's a story. All right, this one will be fun. This is a good story. All right. Yeah. My buddy James, who you guys can enjoy over there in 93.3, the WBAP. Not me. Not me. I'm not over there anymore. Apparently I talk too much shit about the garbage radio they're doing. Hey, you know, whatever. They want to make me the program director. I'll fucking win you. I'll put together a local talk station that'll win you some shit. But, you know. And I'll even keep James. As a matter of fact, I would love to set James loose. I would love to let James just be James, just be the natural entertainer that he is. I mean, he's working inside a format right now, so it's like, okay, I get it, and he's good at it. But man, he is so much there. Let James free. Let's start that. No, don't start that. He's got kids, right? We don't want to fuck up his show. James, you've become a problem. Yeah, what's the problem? Well, people are outraged and they're causing a disruption. Well, shouldn't that's not a problem? Isn't that good for me? Well, there's only 4 of them. So, you know, really, we just had them arrested and now you're just. So leave James alone. Unless you can get like 1,500 people together all at once, leave James alone. Okay? Appreciate it. He doesn't want to be the show that attracts the scary, weird, over-the-top people. Because trust me, when contract time comes around, if the ratings don't match the threat, they're not going to want to keep the guy with the crazy fans who bother the radio station. Okay? That's right. Let James free. Anyway, James used to do a bit that I found so funny. It was racial bingo. And it was really provocative because obviously if you're going to play a game called racial bingo, you must be a racist, of which James isn't. James has opinions, but if you ever saw the people in James' life closest to him, yeah, you couldn't call him a racist. You'd be like, what? Oh, I didn't know that. Anyway, and besides, he's like half Mexican himself, so. But But James has opinions, and he's a libertarian, and he likes to challenge you, and he's unnecessarily provocative at times, but that's okay. That's why I find him so entertaining. Racial bingo was simply, he would read a news story, and then based on your own biases and prejudices, he would open up the phone lines, and you would have to describe the person who did the crime that he just described. and the person who described the person closest won racial bingo. Isn't that racist? No, there's not a goddamn thing about that. That's racist. It's an interesting way to have conversations about what people think. But no, I don't think there's at any point in that bit where he's going, see, because white people are the best and, you know, all other, it's racial. It's racial. You can be racial. I think we should be racial. We have a mixed race society. We should be racial. We should talk about race stuff. White people should be able to go, can I touch your hair without that being some kind of objective? Look, it's a different thing. The first time a white guy meets a black person, they might want to touch the hair. And if the black person wants to go, can I look how small your dick is? They should be allowed to do that as well. It doesn't make you an awful, horrible person. Somebody touched a black girl's hair recently, and the liberal left turned him into a Klan member. And I'm like, what? I've touched black people's hair. I've poked my finger in a fro. I didn't know that made me a grand wizard. It's a difference. It's something that's different about us. We should be curious, because when you're curious, you're not afraid. And when you're not afraid, you're not threatened. And when you're curious, you're on your best behavior because you want answers. That's all. We got to stop interpreting everything as being, it's racist. No. Ask a black dude if you can touch his hair. Look, if he punches you in the face, that's his problem. He's the one. Get on it, Barney. Get on it, Barney. Get out there, and next black guy you see with a fro, go, can I put my finger in your fro? I want to know what that would feel like. All right, let's keep going. What am I talking about here? There was something. Yes, it was the racial bingo story that I wanted to get into. So this is something I thought would have been perfect for James. Not allowed to do these kinds of things anymore. Let's play racial bingo, okay? On December the 3rd, this occurred. I'm going to give you the headline. Felony charge over dippin' sauce at Raising Cane. All right, Raising Cane. First of all, I got hot takes on Raising Cane. Of course I do. Ain't never been to Raising Cane on principle. I will never go to Raising Cane. I am a man who have had a lot of great ideas. I am a man who has taken some of those ideas to some very impressive people inside very intimidating offices. And I have pitched those ideas, and those ideas have fallen on deaf ears. Some son of a bitch from Raising Cane's, 20 years ago, maybe at this point? Some son of a bitch from Raising Cane's walked into some dummy with a big bag of money, and he said, hey, I'm going to make an entire fast food restaurant based on a children's menu item. And that's all you're going to get. You're just going to get chicken strips. Like a little baby. Fuck you. That guy got money? That guy got money. Somebody went, that sounds great. It'll just be chicken strips, you say. Well, maybe apple slices and some mac and cheese. I love it. An entire chain based on the infantilization of America. We're all, it's like, well, people are living at home until 50, right? We're all infants longer than we've ever been. 40-year-old men wearing backwards baseball caps. In my day, a 40-year-old man wore a suit and tie to the ball game. Nah, we're all infants now. We didn't have to fight in World War II. So, guys in their 50s are like, dressing like skater boys. Stop it. Anyway. How did I get on that? What was I talking about? We're talking about the Raising Cane. Okay, so Raising Canes, the infantilization. Sure, I guess that's right. I guess there is people all over this country who want to have nothing but a children's menu to choose from the fucking drive-thru. Now, I've been told that Raising Cane now has like sandwiches, so they've moved away from the. I just, on principle, I've never been. Dominic, my pretend nephew. We cosplay uncle and nephew. Dominic. Dominic, he loves the Raising Cane, but you know, he's what, 11, 12? He's an idiot. Oh, 11, 12 years. It's not his fault. All 11, 12-year-olds are idiots. And he's like, no, Raising Cane, man. Pugs, you gotta go. And I'm like, screw that. And then I give him this rant about how do they get money? And he looks at me and he's like, you are not my fun uncle. I'm like, whatever. All right, so let's play some racial bingo. This all went down at a Raising Cane. It was a big dispute over some dipping sauces. Imagine catching a felony charge over Raising Cane's dipping sauce. That is what investigators say transpired Friday afternoon in Florida, where a 31-year-old woman was arrested for strong-arm robbery after she became hostile, both verbally and physically, after fast food workers failed to include 8 sauces in her mobile pickup order. All right, now we're going to get into some things we got to leave out for racial bingo. For instance, we are giving out names. Now, I'm not giving out this name because it will particularly tell you what race she is. But just as a rule, you give out names, or you leave out the names in racial bingo because I feel they can give away too much. You know, if her name is Janice DeCipio, you know who that is. It ruins the game. So, okay, so we got a fight. Lady threw down, charged with armed robbery. Wait, hold on. What is she being charged with? According to court records, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's what she's charged with. Okay, according to court records, blank retrieved her grub from a Raising Cane's in Clearwater, Florida. All right, that's very important. Okay, that's the kind of tip that we can. Clearwater, Florida. And why is Clearwater in Florida? Well, because look, I'm not going to do James's bit, so I'll just break down the bit, how it worked. Right now, a whole bunch of you are probably going big fat black woman. You're thinking big fat black woman, but then you learn Clearwater, Florida, right? And you're like, white trash. This is like total white trash, inbred, stupid bucktooth, right? Clearwater, maybe. But, now you're thinking right now, let's see, what is the racial makeup of Clearwater? You're trying to figure out. Let's see here. She went to retrieve her grub from a Raising Cane's in Clearwater, only to discover that she was missing 8 packs of cane sauce. I don't know if that's worth starting a fight over. As I said, I've never been there. This person seen it right. Oh yeah, we get a picture of her. Returned to the restaurant and spoke to a female manager who provided her with the dipping sauce. However, the manager's name was Tatiana Herbert. We're not trying to guess her. I'm thinking, I think Tatiana Herbert's probably a black girl. See how the name gave that away? That's not racist. It's not racist for acknowledging that black Americans have these exotic names that aren't exactly like Jim, John, Bob, Lisa, and Kelly, right? All right. Tatiana Herbert. Let's see. Okay, so here's what happened. So she doesn't get her sauce. She goes back to the store. She's hot. She doesn't have her sauce. We've all been there, right? We can relate with this. Fuck these fucking idiots. So they go in there and she's like, give me my sauces. And so the manager comes out and the manager's like, here's your sauces. But then the person goes, no, I want more sauces. I want free sauces for my trouble. And that is when our manager, Tatiana Herbert, goes, bitch, what? And it was kind of on. Tatiana Herbert declined her request that she be provided with extra sauces in return for, quote, wasting her time and gas. After her sauce bid was refused, she became hostile, both verbally and physically, and began yelling, disturbing the staff and customers, according to her. Okay, that's all. She just started going nuts. And then the police came. Let me go to the chat room. No, we're not playing racial bingo. We're not playing. James would play racial bingo, but we don't want to do it. All right, let's check her out. Here she is. Let's see it. Does she look like what you expected? All right. Let's meet our Lady who lost her shit. There she is. Look at her. She's kind of doable. You didn't expect that, did you? You didn't expect it to be somebody that you'd be like, why are you crying, miss? You know, fucking Barney, Jeff, Byron, y'all would white knight her. You saw her having a bad time in front of a Raising Cane as you're walking in. You'd be like, what's the matter, darling? Look at her. That is not what I pictured. Not what I pictured. She's got pink and blue hair. Maybe meth. She might be like a meth head. I don't know. She's got a smile, right? We don't know what's going on there. But she's got a car, and she drove 10 miles. She must have really wanted Raising Canes. Is Raising Cane that good? I don't know. 10 miles. That's why she was hot. Barney is speaking up for cane sauce. He says cane sauce is everything, but not worth jail time. Anyway, she does not look like the person that I would imagine throwing down over cane sauce. One, I didn't think it would be somebody who was kind of cute. You know, she's kind of cute. She's like, she lost her shit. Whatever, right? I thought it was going to be like, you know, somebody I'd be scared of. Somebody who I'd have given the fucking sauce to. How about that? I thought it was going to be. Because, you know, I look to solve problems. Taisha Herbert, the manager, I think she let her ego get the better of her and was like, I ain't giving you any more fucking sauce. And that's why the whole problem happened. If I was the manager, first of all, if I'm the manager, she comes, I'm giving her the sauce anyway, because it's like, okay, little girl, you're hot. Go away. Go away, little girl, you're hot. But also, even if it was like a big scary person that I was afraid was going to whoop my ass, and that, actually, no, not afraid she's going to whip my ass, but if it was a big scary person who I was afraid was going to turn this into a thing, where I got customers in the restaurant I manage now filming it for TikTok, right? If I'm worried about that, I'm like, look, what can I do to diffuse the situation? How many you want? What do you fucking Raising Cane? You want some free cheese? I'd start giving her chicken. Here, have some chicken. Here, more sauces for you. Just get out. We don't need this. We're going to throw all this shit out anyway. But the ego compelled the manager, bitch, what? You know, that whole thing. And oh, we were off to the races. And now we got this little innocent cutie doing a hard time in Florida. Why? Because as Barney says, cane sauce is everything. All right, what else do we have? What other good stories can we we did the drones. Okay, we got that. I don't want to talk about that. That's stupid. All right, here's something I'll mention. There's a game. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Oh, you gamer idiots. You gamer a-holes. There is a game that is being banned because it apparently has, I don't even know how to play game. I don't know what it is, but apparently there's like a mission you can choose in this new game. And it's not a real game. It's not like being put out by like, you know, Rockstar Games or anything that's got, you know, stockholders and but it's like some independent game that apparently is hot. People are talking about it. Apparently there's a mission you can choose where you are a Hamas terrorist on October the 7th. You attack the music festival, so obviously this game is, you know, being met with people going, what the fuck? Now, here's how I feel about this. Should the game be allowed to exist? Yeah, it should. I don't think you should tell people they can't. Look, a bunch of Ku Klux Klan guys want to make a game where they're doing terrible things. I don't understand how we make a distinction on what is more terrible than another thing. Have you seen these games? These games are all the most awful depictions of people doing their worst. But now we're going to tell these people because this is what happened against the Jewish people. Now we can't have that? No. Can't do that. Jesus Christ. Grand Theft Auto has been murdering prostitutes on our TV screens for decades. So don't give me this whole thing. Well, it's too violent. This is a bridge too far. No, what it is it's a political issue that you're uncomfortable with. Personally, that's my political stance on it. That's where I would come down if it was like, you need to decide whether or not this game needs to be banned from ever being made. I would say absolutely not. But here's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting that anybody who owns that game to be branded a fucking idiot. You know, I mean, why make it cool? Why even give it any attention? Just be like, whatever. If these horrible people underground want to make these things, we're not going to allow it to be in stores. If it shows up at the fucking Target in your neighborhood, yeah, Get out there with your picket sign and be like, this game has, because that's a repugnant thing to be accepted into mainstream society. But there's a lot of shit that's on the fringes that appeal to fucking weirdos. And you know what? We got to let the weirdos have their toys, because if the weirdos don't have their toys, then they get bored. And now we're dealing with weirdos who are like coming into our shit. I don't know. Anyway, that's a big thing that's going on right now. This gamer company is like, they can't do this. And I'm like, God damn it. I hate fucking defending idiots. But in this case, I believe they should be allowed to make it. But it's also a natural pushback on the argument that there's something repulsive about this game. There's something repulsive about every game. All these combat games, all these shooter games. Are you fucking kidding me? You're pearl clutching now because this brand of absolute slaughter of humanity offends you for what? For ideological reasons? Stop it. Stop it. That's not good enough. We need to stop all of that shit in games. I'd get behind that movement, but we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. That ship has sailed. Here's where we are. These games exist. Now we got to manage the fucking idiots that, I'll tell you something. My kid is 15. I worry about this. I worry about the influence of, he loves games. Games. But I feel like I might have dodged a bullet with him because seriously, his game is Madden. His game is, what else does he like? He likes, he likes the WWE games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not, like, the games that he's playing by his own choice, not because I'm some fucking tree-hugging daddy or anything. He can play whatever game he wants. I want him to be a normal kid. But no, by his own choice. He doesn't play, like, single-shooter games. He doesn't play mayhem games. He doesn't play... I mean, he knows about, he used to play a lot of that something combat game or whoever Master Chief is, the war game, but he hadn't played that in like 2 years. He's like totally moved on now that he's getting older. He's like moved on to these more sports games. He wants to be really good at Madden, and I guess he is, but we'll see. I think every kid his age is good at Madden by my estimation, because I don't know what I'm doing. That's a dream. That's like a Christmas dream for me. I would love, you want to know honestly, if I ever got enough money, what I would like to do? I would like to get a hotel room for a weekend, 2 nights, Friday and Saturday. And I would like to check into this hotel room with my son, my 15-year-old son. And for those 2 days, we do nothing but play Madden. He teaches me how to play Madden because it means so much to him. And I can never play with him because I'm like, I don't know how to, this looks stupid. How do you pass? Wait, Dad, you suck. And he's like, you suck. And he's like always doing this stuff. And, within like 5 minutes, it's like 100-0. It's just picked you off again. I'm like, okay, stop it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know how to pass. So that would be a cool thing. That'd be a cool thing. We'll do that one day. But yeah, so video games, fuck video games. They're all trash anyway, but you can't just now selectively start going, that game can't be made because it offends people. They should all offend people. It's like our commitment to our defense, right? What I always say, we're the big badass on the block. That ship has sailed. That's who we are. 40 years of putting everything into defense so that people fucking listen to us. Now here we are. People aren't listening to us, and we've got, 40 years of stupid people with bad health because we put our money into being who we're supposed to be. Let's be who we're supposed to be. Let's lead. Shining beacon on the hill, the United States of America, Jefferson's promise. Be all of that shit. All right, the rant is continuing. Let's see, what else do we have here? Peter Black Friday, don't want to do that. Yeah, guys, you want to be done? Let's be done. What do you say? You want to be done? I gave you a good show. 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 40 minutes. Pretty much, right? That's not bad. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Al. One more time, I do want to thank today's executive producer. Who will be tomorrow's executive producer? Well, I don't know. But today I certainly know. And a big, hearty thank you to the Sports Browse podcast. Please check them out. Please like them. Please follow them. Please give them the love. You don't have to listen to the whole show. I know. Look, I'd love it if you did. And I think if you gave it a chance, you might enjoy them. They're silly. But help them out, right? That's what we do. We help each other out. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, again, just be the big tipper here on Pledge Week. Do some lighting stuff with these guys tomorrow. We'll make sure that we have different lighting. I didn't really have time to do that today. I love you all. Appreciate you helping out during Pledge Week. We'll be back. What is it? Heg says that's Trump told him to keep fighting. Okay, there you go. Heg says going to keep fighting. Telling you. It's going to be DeSantis. So that people will be like, yeah, okay, he's at least got the, background. I guess. I don't know. All right, guys, we'll talk to you tomorrow at noon. Appreciate you. Bye.